do it all for you next time. She said it ain't gonna be no next time. She said it ain't gonna be no next time. She said it ain't gonna be no next time. And I said next time, I swear I'll treat you better. Woman, next time, I swear I won't talk shit in front of your friends. A woman, next time, I swear I'll love you better than any man can. Next time, I swear I'll love you back. Ain't gonna be no next time. She said ain't gonna be no next time. It's the last time, ain't gonna be no next time. Ooh, this is the last time, ain't gonna be no next time. And that's gonna hurt to last a lifetime. Next time, I swear I'll love you better than you. I said next time, I swear I'll love you better than any man can.
I'm a Yale graduate 2015, a starry-eyed amateur with plenty of dreams. I left the academic world with millennial steam. I was the envy of my enemies, or so it would seem. But then I spent 2 years working in tech sales. I tried to like it, but all my attempts failed. I didn't really have attention to detail, and pretty soon I bailed on the sending of emails. Now the question that I'm trying to avoid is, what do you do for work? Well, I'm kind of employed. I'm a rapper making the bare amount I need to get by, so I'm watching my bank account bleed itself dry. Oh my, I'm in kind of a mess. I mean, we all gotta be poor before finding success, but damn, I was hoping it wouldn't get this bad. I really don't wanna have to call mom and dad.
Cause I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without
ghost in a shell. Listen, I know you don't like me asking you this, and I don't like asking you either, but the fact of it is that my financial situation is in kind of a squeeze. So without sounding pathetic, would you please make the world aware that our economy is broken? The creators want their share, but their problems remain unspoken. I can barely make $1 from my Spotify streams, but tech can blow $1 million on a juice machine. Artists are breaking their back for dollars and cents. I sold a 10K tech stack, that's all on my rent. We have to take an axe to this massive imbalance of wealth from the capitalist entrapment that has damaged our self-value and shafted imaginative talent on a national scale. While they're bailing out banks too massive to fail, they're funding our classes and slamming the masses in jail. But the absence of artists, imagine what that would entail. Your favorite rappers and bands started as local acts who had to get past the scammers and rats in their past. Let it be known to the world that I'm bossing my ass. Oh yeah, can I borrow some cash?
Cause I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow thousands. I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow 1,000 now, cause I'm broke.
College friends are going to grad school. My childhood friends becoming a dad soon. Meanwhile, I'm writing rhymes in a bathroom, and maybe next year I'll be working in fast food. I wish I didn't have to be broke. I took my middle class privilege and had it revoked, but now I get to be a rapper and I'm happy and stoked. Shout out to my family, my parents are dope.
Cause I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow thousands. I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow 1,000 now, cause I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow 1,000. I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't wanna talk about it, but I can never live without it. So I'ma need to borrow 1,000 now, cause I'm broke.
It's my way to the highway, says the man who writes the checks. It don't make no common sense, and you don't make no mess with your knuckles. Why you won't fight that fight? But here's what happens next. This story don't work no more. It's the man who writes the checks. Now sing it. Oh, 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 pour me a double. Oh, 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 I'm in trouble again. Dumping fist in the wind. It's my way to the highway, says the man behind the badge. You've been stirring up a ruckus and driving way too fast. Well, you better ride on this here night. Use best about your tongue. You look with well, a little justice. The man behind the gun. Now sing it. Oh, 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 pour me a double. I'm singing. Oh, 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 I'm in trouble again. Dumping piss in the wind. Lady with the ring, you've been playing cards in titty bars and silly songs you sing. You better pump the brakes of this shackle shake. You best shut your mouth. I'm guessing I reckon I learned my lessons and then singing on the couch. Now sing it. Oh, 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 pour me a double. Sing it. Oh, 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 I'm in trouble again. Dumping pissing in the wind. I'm in trouble again. Dumping pissing in the wind. I'm in trouble again. Dumping pissing in the wind.
Hey there, fellow patriots. I've been telling you for years that I'm not a rapper and I'm not a country singer. But through the grace of God, it looks like anything's possible. Snowflake Productions. They call me the Pied Piper, spin this silk like I'm a spider. People act like rough riders, tell them pull up like a diaper. I'ma piss all in your Cheerios, they call me Tony Tiger. Can't handle whiskey neat, please get her an apple cider. Cheerios got piss in them, I'ma continue dissing them. I'm in your head, you listening, my words no point dismissing them. I'm an irritation, I'm a gnat in disguise. I'm a bug zapper, I annoy flies. I'm a keeper so I trapped her, clever girl a raptor. Said I'm not a rapper, guess I lied. I'll wear white to a wedding. I'll wear a flag as a shirt. You know I will. I'll wear shorts to a funeral, and I'll fart in a church. I'll ask a girl if she's pregnant. Oh yeah. I'll swear in front of your grandmother. On a cold night with a lady. I hog all the covers. They call me the Pied Piper, spin the silk like I'm a spider. People act like rough riders, tell them pull up like a diaper. I'ma piss all in your Cheerios, they call me Tony Tiger. Can't handle whiskey neat, please get her an apple cider. Did I say something funny? He said sorry, nothing buddy. I said that's what I thought honey. Then I took his lunch money, spent it on some ammunition and some pills for my erection. Can you please give me directions to the nearest insurrection? I'm what you might call a cynic. One time I made a dead baby joke at an abortion clinic. Just because security kicked me out don't mean it wasn't a banger. Nope. All I did was ask the guy sitting next to me if he had an extra coat hanger. They call me the Pied Piper, spin the silk like I'm a spider. People act like rough riders, tell them pull up like a diaper. I'ma piss all in your Cheerios, they call me Tony Tiger. Can't handle whiskey neat, please get her an apple cider. Somebody get this little bitch an apple cider. Get the hell out of my bar.
I can take us far away from here, a place that we can go to disappear. I now realize that you should be the one to guide the light behind the rising sun.
so what? I can make your whole fan base go nuts. Cause being nerdy is cool, it's time to grow up. Or maybe you a little jelly cause your flow sucks. I'm sicker than a chick sticking her fingers into a throat, trying to throw up all the donuts you binge in a split second. Recognition never been anything more than a record setter for eating all the donuts. I'm blowing up like a Samsung Note 7. I open fire, no handgun, no weapon. Damn son, I was rapping back in 07, back when I was trapped at the Catholic trying to go to heaven. And I was rapping with my glasses on, can't remember the last time I didn't have them on. So elastic with the lyrics like an epsilon, they're not representation of my lexicon. So, beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Say, get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. 4 eyes used to be uncool, so I was a geek in school. My friend group was a cesspool of massive tools, giving me shit cause I followed the rule sheet. I do you like I'm Alexander, I'll take your ass to school like I'm Bernie Sanders. I'm a chief commander, I exceed the standard. Why the cheaters texting me, I try to read my answers. Read too many books, I was 10 years old. Got a pair of specs and I said, here goes. They made me into a rejected weirdo and became the lens through which I see the world. So, a mechanism for correcting my retina, injected into my identification, and then I set in the precedent that nerdy was acceptable. My spectacles made me respectable. Oh, beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Beat off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Say, get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. I'm only getting better and better, I'm feeling better, but that's your pressure to be the mainstream. I used to dream of getting a letter, but then when I ended, I settled for making it in my daydream. But I'm cool now, strange as it may seem. We're living in the golden age of dank memes, and people dig it when I'm being eccentric, spitting nonsensical shit like I'm in a game of Space Team. Maybe I'm a legend in the making, cause the way my trade is so painstaking. But maybe it's the method that I shake it up. Shakespeare in your ass, the rap game is up. Smart isn't it, my heart isn't it? I'm delivering art for lyrics from start to finish. Stepping on your pedestal, kicking with a genitals, hitting you in the head, you can bet I'll be wearing my glasses. Get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. Say, get off your asses, I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses. I'm a rap star, hit 'em with the glasses.
Hey there, fellow patriots. This one here's for all my brothers and sisters that do not appreciate all these elections being stolen by the radical left and the Dominion voting systems. They gotta go. Yee-hoo! Blame it on Dominion, blame it on religion, blame it on the fact I have a jaded opinion. Blame it on gas prices, on Joe Biden, on the avocados in my fridge that haven't ripened. Blame it on Fauci, oh God, how she blames it on the fact she woke up grouchy. Communist party, blame it on a Barbie. Can't read instructions, so I blame it on a Sharpie. Like to play the blame game, it's what we do. Life on a chain gang, Papa never went through. Out here screaming gang gang in this government room, and we'll show them bang bangs. If you tell us what to do, we'll pop them bang bangs. If you try to take my rights, we're God-fearing Christians, but we like to get in fights. J6 was a party, they say it was a riot, and even though I've seen the footage, I don't fucking buy it. No, there's no way I buy that. Who knows what BLM Antifa false flaggers could have been there? It could have been anybody. It definitely wasn't us God-fearing patriots. Blame it on Dominion, blame it on Clinton, blame it on the fact I have a jaded opinion. Blame it on gas prices, on Joe Biden, on the avocados in my fridge that haven't ripened. Blame it on Fauci, oh God, how she blames it on the fact she woke up grouchy. Communist party, blame it on a Barbie. Can't read instructions, so I blamed it on a Sharpie. Squad went down to the elections office, knew something was wrong, so we had to go and stop it. Didn't see nothing even though we were watching, stalking and crowding all the workers like a mosh pit. Aw shit, just saw someone take a couple ballots, stuff them down his pants, but I caught it like a foul bitch. Why is the left always trying to steal my dreams? So I guess I'm still in one of these voting machines. I'm taking this with me. I don't care if it's illegal. I'm a patriot, and I need to know how these things work, and how they keep stealing our elections away from us God-fearing patriots. Blame it on Dominion, blame it on religion, blame it on the fact I have a jaded opinion. Blame it on gas prices, on Joe Biden, on the avocados in my fridge that haven't ripened. Blame blame it on Fauci. Oh God, how she blames it on the fact she woke up grouchy. Communist party, blame it on a Barbie. Can't read instructions, so I blame it on a Sharpie. Those Sharpies, they did not tell us how to use them. I did not know that I had to circle in the circle and that I couldn't just put an X through it. They should have explained that better. God.
Hello and good morning, everybody. It's time. It's time. Oh God, has it started yet? I gotta see. I don't know. Probably. So, hello everybody. Today is a live episode of Supes, live and unpausable, and Kevin and Patrick's last day. Yeah, hopefully. Welcome in, my lovely, lovely locals. Everybody, fucking thank Nathan for the fucking great music that he has allowed me to use on this show. Yeah, it's some of my favorite shit. Okay, have they started? They should be. Oh, here we go. We're seeing.
For this meeting, this session, Lord, that you would guide, give discernment, open eyes, open hearts.
Oh, this is
Lord, for egos to be set aside.
Yeah, right. Listen, dude, already.
What's best at heart, Lord. I pray for humility for each person in this room. I pray for reconciliation. I pray for restoration, Lord, and I pray that you would bless this county, Lord.
Good morning, Bourgeois. Good morning, Nathan. Good morning, Val. Good morning, Princess.
This place. Lord, I pray for Shasta County that you would allow us to be a beacon of hope in California. Lord, I pray for our leaders. Lord, I pray that you would remind them that they are here to serve and that they would do it with the...
Lord, I pray that you would get your fucking volume levels right.
Thank you that you love us. Thank you for the life that you've given us, Lord. What a privilege to get to live here. What a privilege, God. We thank you, and it's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Shut the fuck up in the name of Jesus.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hope everybody's got their shitting pants on.
Thank you, Supervisor Kellstrom, and thank you, Pastor Ben Sprague. Put that on a T-shirt. Probably sell a few hundred of those. Thank you so much. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item on the regular calendar before or during the board's consideration of the item. Members of the public may also address matters scheduled for public hearings at the time such public hearings are open for comment. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. We're going to start off with R1, Board Matters, CEO Dave Rickert.
Good morning, Chairman Cray and members of the Board of Supervisors. Dave Rickert, CEO, reporting. I want to give you first an update on state issues. The California 24-25 budget. The Legislative Analyst Office suggests that weak revenue performance has ballooned the state's projected budget deficit to $73 billion since November. In a report released this week...
Dude, in my old school, they would make us do the Pledge of Allegiance and then sing My Country 'Tis of Thee after it.
...made by the Department of Finance and the governor's proposed budget. In its report, the LAO suggests dozens of one-time and temporary spending reduction options organized by policy area. The legislature will begin budget subcommittee hearings in earnest next week to dig into the governor's proposed budget proposals. Given this dismal budget news and potential for further decline, it is important to recognize that the budgetary revisions the governor proposes in May will be significant. Update on county issues. I want to move to the jail update. As far as the expansion, there will be a scheduled tour of the old courthouse at 4 p.m. on February 28th with Supervisors Tim Garman and Mary Rickert in attendance. I look forward to that. And I also plan to reach out as we get into the jail expansion project to reach out to former CEOs to get their insight on those issues. I have no additional report in regards to the jail expansion.
So is this the new
legislative update?
Is this the new county council?
Look for direction
Kevin's
from the Board of Supervisors, Senate Bill
manager's boyfriend or whatever.
Senator John Laird, Democrat, Santa Cruz. which seeks to facilitate the development of a small and medium-sized compost facilities to help the state achieve the SB 1383 organic waste recycling goals. Specifically, SB 1046 requires Kale Recycle to develop a programmatic, I knew I was going to get that word wrong, programmatic environmental impact report for small and medium-sized compost facilities to streamline the siting and permitting process for those facilities. Finally, we have two letters for approval. One is a letter of approval for HR 6944, which proposes to establish a catastrophic property loss reinsurance program. And then last, approval letter of opposition to the California Public Utilities Commission to oppose AT&T's application for target relief from the carrier of last resort obligation. This concludes my report.
Thank you, CEO Rickert, and we'll start to my left with Supervisor Rickert.
Morning, Drake.
CEO Rickert, Supervisor Rickert.
Okay. Thank you. So I met with CEO Rickert to share my priorities list for the year for Shasta County. Attended a Rotary fundraiser at Riverview Country Club. Attended a Whitmore Community Breakfast. Talked to a lot of former county employees. And my husband ran into somebody who went to eighth grade with, so they shared a lot of memories there. Attended a Farm Bureau meeting. We're getting ready for the spring social, so I recommend everybody look into attending that event. They're also raffling off guns. I think this board probably ought to be interested in buying a few tickets for that. I met with K2 reps from
Patrick's All Guns
from our assessor's office to do a walking tour of some projects downtown. That was really beneficial. It's always good to get business owners and have a real personal meeting with our county staff and department heads. And so that was a really beneficial meeting. I attended the mental health alcohol.
Did you grow like 4 inches
advisory board
last night?
meeting.
Goddamn,
we did
cat.
a tour of Kingsview. It's a great program. For people that are really at great risk. Oftentimes they're unhoused, so these people get them into housing. Attended a Nortec Board of Orientation meeting. Attended a Superior California Economic Development meeting. For the most part, businesses are making payments on their loans. There's only one at risk in Butte County, which is good news. Did a letter of support for the Big Bend for a forest resilience project, which I enjoy supporting any of those kind of projects. Attended the Shasta County Fire Safe Council, who we will hear from later this evening. We had Dee Stover speak from State Farm. Again, insurance for most of our citizens in Shasta County. I continue to struggle with that, and so that's something we want to work on and continue to get more information out for the public. And we also need to focus more of that from the board level, I think, too. I attended the SHARC meeting, the Shasta Health Assessment and Redesign Collaborative. Todd Smith, our CEO from Mercy, reported that there was an assessment done of Shasta County, and we are 100.
Everybody just take note of all these things that Mary's listing, and then listen to all these other fucking cracker jackass fucking
I talk to people all the time
board
who are having a
reports.
hard time finding a physician. Attended the Community Action Board.
Fucking jinx, Nathan.
The Veterans Village is on life supports, but it's still a possibility of getting off the ground in Shasta Lake City. That's something I've been working on for 5 years. Let's see. I had a conversation with someone from Shingletown working on getting a webinar for hardening homes and defensible space, and I'm looking forward to working on that. A couple of things I just wanted to congratulate the Reading City Council for approving the Veta Street Village micro shelters that the Good News Rescue Mission will be putting in. I also read the Big Bend CWPP Community Wildfire Protection Plan document. I was very impressed with that. I'm sure that some of the Fire Safe Council people have seen that too, but that was an excellent project that they worked on, and they should be very proud of themselves for completing that. I also want to bring to your attention there was an employee letter complimenting Lance Foley from the county for his professionalism for the Bernie Commons. That project is just getting completed, so we have some affordable housing in Bernie. I was in on that at the very beginning. I also was reading some information, and I think we should be aware of that Shasta County ranks third in the shortest life expectancy in the state. This is a statistic that the average life expectancy in Shasta County is 75.8 years, and we are Number 3
For
is
some of them, that's too long.
the shortest lifespan. So this should be a wake-up call for Shasta County and for our residents. We need to focus on better health and better food choices, better lifestyle choices. I got a call yesterday from a constituent about wanting a resident deputy in Big Bend. This is something we've been working on more and more in the Intermountain area. So I had a long talk with him, and then let's see, I think that was about it. One last thing is, on February 6th, we were scheduled to have the code of conduct on the agenda, and I have not seen it yet. So I just wondered what happened to that. Chair Cry, do you have an explanation?
I believe that's going to be on March 12th.
Well, I was hoping it would get on the agenda sooner than that, because we started working on it in, December, January? And it was ready to go, I know, as of February. So I just wanted to make that point, that this is something that has been important to me. I brought 2 code of conducts forward before, and this was the 3rd one. And I think we need to make sure that we get it on the agenda and discussed.
Great. Supervisor Kellstrom.
Okay, I'll make mine short and sweet. Friday night we had a fundraiser for one of the supervisors up
It's going
here.
to be short and sweet.
Saturday I was supposed to have another fundraiser for the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce, but it canceled at the last minute, so I was able to attend Rand Paul in Reading. That was kind of eye-opening. I met with some constituents with some well issues, and I'll be working with the environmental health on that. And then I'd like to give a shout out to Sean Ewing from Resource Management. I had an issue, actually in my neck of the woods, with a permit, and a permit held up, and then there was a major theft there because they didn't have some lighting. So Sean, as usual, he did a great job and moved forward on that. And then on the 15th, I went to the Day Reporting Center graduation. It was a great event. I missed you there, Supervisor Rickert.
Yes, I know.
In fact, I was gonna have you hand our certificates out, but Dave Rickert filled in and he handed them out, and it was a wonderful event, and very heartwarming stories, and it was great to see all those people graduate. So.
I planned to go, but I had kind of emergency.
Gotcha. Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Supervisor Kellstrom. Supervisor Jones.
I bought and sold some guns.
The at-home committee. This is our ad hoc committee. We have roughly 20 elected officials from around Shasta County on the ad hoc committee. Our CEO Rickert attends that, as well as Health and Human Services Director Laura Birch and others from the county. And that is now open to the public. We're meeting usually at the community room right next to Reading City Hall, and we're making some decisions that then get pushed over to the local agencies like the City of Reading to make some decisions. And so everyone knows now that we have a resource center planned on property that is currently being in an escrow. We have a fairly tight time schedule to get that forward. So the idea with that is that when a homeless person or a person at risk of being homeless is picked up, that they're taken immediately to the resource center where we have all the county functions there. And so that is something new. And I think everyone on the at-home committee agreed that that would be the first thing that we would start with. I did a fundraiser barbecue out at Shasta Lake City, and we asked people for some support, and they donated $1,300, and that goes to the Northern California Veterans Home Support Committee, and so we appreciated that. We served about 250 meals, had a great time, and for a very good cause. Attended the Election Integrity USA meeting. This is Linda Payne's group. They have been working very hard on voter rolls. They have a current case that has been found to be in good standing with the Ninth Circuit, and that's moving forward. We're seeing lots of issues almost in every county in California with voter rolls, and they're leading the way on that, and their slogan is every lawful cast vote accurately counted. Attended a Reading City Council meeting and spoke. I encouraged the City of Reading to adopt the same resolution that we did with regards to SB2 and to have it on their next agenda. I will also be in the near future at Shasta Lake City and City of Anderson's, asking them to do the same thing. And then they did approve the final step at the Reading City Council meeting with the at-home and the mission, and so that moved forward very well. Attended yesterday the Election Commission, Shasta County Election Commission meeting here, which they have made some directions and to the board, and we'll be taking those up here very soon, probably on the March 12th meeting. And then I attended, lastly, the Senator Rand Paul event. We had a pretty full, packed house. I saw a few of the other board members, Kellstrom and Cry. I didn't see the others there, but a great senator.
That's because Rand Paul is a fucking wackadoo.
Chair Cry, that is my report.
And they ain't got time for that
Supervisor
shit.
Jones. Supervisor Garmin.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. Before I get to my report, I'm going to make a motion to approve number 2 and number 3 on this, the letter of support to H.R. 6944, and the letter for the Public Utilities Commission to oppose the AT&T thing.
And I'll second that.
We have a first by Supervisor Garmin and a second by Supervisor Rickert.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in the public? If it's okay, Supervisor Garmin, can we take public comment
Let me
on
just,
that?
real quick, let me just explain. I had a constituent reach out to me about the AT&T thing out in the Keswick area and how catastrophic that would be, or they don't have cell signal to lose that phone service. And so I kind of brought this forward to staff, and I appreciate you, Mr. Rickert, getting this on our agenda. Thank you.
Yes, and I also had someone reach out to me, so I wanted to be, and I found out you had done the same thing, Tim, so we were both on the same page.
So with that, is there anybody that would like to speak to that motion before we take a vote? Come on up. 3 minutes, Stephanie.
Morning, Board. Dawn Duckett.
Oh, she said she was going to make it.
Fiscal Conservative. I'd like to just express general support for both letters. I live out in the country where there isn't good internet or cell phone reception, and I have a lot of elderly neighbors that depend on their landline phones. I will be missing the next 2 board meetings. And Mr. Cry, I just wanted to wish you well, regardless of the outcome of the recall. And I wanted to personally thank you, and this is sincere, because it's because of you that I have found a calling. And you have turned me into a warrior.
We love you, Dawn.
I will be back on the 26th, and if you don't get recalled, I'll be here to hold you accountable and to bear witness to your decision-making. Thank you.
With
Thanks,
that,
Dawn. Thank
we'll go ahead and
you.
take a
Love
vote
you.
on the motion of approving
love
both
her.
of those. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously, 5-0. Supervisor Garmin, please continue your report.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. Moving on with my report, I met with Jill Campbell at Hill Country Medical Clinic, and they're working hard on getting a 24-hour caravan up for our community, which will be a really good deal. Talked a little bit over the phone with Laura Birch yesterday about that, and it seems like this is going to be a reality, so thank you for all the parties involved. I attended a Continuum of Care plan meeting at the City of Reading. I met with Joanna Francesca. I also met with the Shasta Fire District. They're having a little bit of trouble putting their maps together for their boundaries for their fire district, so I was able to meet with them and kind of walk through some of the steps involved to get there. They're close, so hopefully, guys out in Shasta, be patient. Hopefully, we'll get this accomplished for you real soon. I also attended the CAB meeting with Supervisor Rickert, Community Action Board. That was my first meeting on the CAB board, and it was really enlightening to see how they help our local community. I'm really glad to be on that board. You got the affordable homes coming up in Bernie. There's some coming up in Shasta Lake City as well. One of the things that I learned, and it's kind of good and kind of bad at the same time, but I think overall for the county it's a better. But those programs where they have the housing in Shasta Lake City for low income or Bernie, when folks apply to rent one of those units, if you're in Anderson, you have the same shot at getting that property as if you live in Shasta Lake City. So overall, it goes to the entire county. Somebody coming from out of the county, it's not quite the same. But if you're in the county and you know somebody who's struggling or is homeless, and they, if they don't mind moving from Anderson to Shasta Lake City or wherever that looks like, have them go put an application in. It's a chance to help our people. So it was really enlightening to see that. I attended the First Five meeting yesterday. Always love to help with the kids in our community, and that's a good organization. And lastly, I think Supervisor Rickert addressed it. I have the code of conduct as well. When was that going to come back to us?
12.
CEO Rickert, is that March 12th? Is that what it's slated for as of now?
That's correct.
Okay, so that'll be back for sure on March.
So you have one more meeting to scream shit, fuck, ass, cunt, motherfucker to fucking Kevin Cry before there's a code of conduct. Good luck, everybody.
These are in not necessarily.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
I had a meeting with the sheriff, or members of the sheriff's office, members of the district attorney's office, as well as the CEO's office regarding public safety for Board of Supervisors meetings. That was at the last, the week the week after our last meeting, and some of that has led to the code of conduct and some of the things they're working on. I know there will be 3 items that have to do with the code of conduct that will come back on March 12th. I had a radio show for District 3 candidates, of which Corky Harmon of Palisadro and Wynn Carpenter of Fall River attended. That is, you could listen to the archive or see that on the Vote Kevin Cry Facebook page.
Well, look at him advertising his social media from the dais there.
Suspending impact fees is had, and that's been a lot of great conversation about things happening within the county. I met with a group of superintendents that from various schools that partially led to the inviting of our speaker for R2, who's here today. Had an AP interview on Wednesday, the 21st, lasted about 5 hours, what was great about it, among things, was getting to have 3 people from out of the area meet a lot of different people across Shasta County, specifically in District.
To be fair, Val, more people watch this show than listen to Kevin's radio show.
Attended the Youth Option Shasta board. It's one of my most favorite.
He owes me for the signal boost.
Gearing up for the Mud Run. If you're not familiar with that organization, I would really encourage you to check them out. One of the things we're going to be talking about in R3 is about fees, which I would see as hidden taxes, and that's going to be an exciting item in R3. So I have been looking at some other fees in other departments with some constituents that have approached me. I'd like to ask staff at this time to bring back 5 random fees from various departments within the county. You guys select them. I've spoken to a couple department heads who have said, hey, look at this, look at that, but I'll leave that to you.
I'll go get the little one later. The 2 big ones are they're in SPRAC mode, and I don't feel like
I was really
getting any more scars this week.
About 3 or 4 minutes just privately with him, and it was really interesting talking to him about his stance and Dr. Fauci. And if you haven't seen his book, it's about this thick. It's called Deception, and he said, and he spoke to this. So if you were in attendance,
I'm like, I didn't know they could stack pages full of bullshit this high.
American government, and appreciate those. I
don't know. It doesn't have anything to do with anything anymore because he's fucking retired.
The time with speaking for someone on him on a national level. One thing is great, is I too have been. The resilience is at a different level about taking care of people here in Shasta County and making sure what is done is right. I still have coffee every Friday at 8 a.m. at Kaleidoscope. You'll have to start getting there early as all seats are taken. Usually by about 8:15, there's about anywhere from 15 to 20-some people that have attended, and not many people attend regularly, so we have different people every time.
That's not what I heard.
My radio show is still every other Sunday, so again, I say these things, I say as accessible as I can be to the public. If you have questions, we will have a whistleblower presentation on R4, and that I think will eliminate maybe some of the emails that I tend to get. Lastly, I really want to point out Alan Cox and County Council, as well as Stephanie Schreiber and others that have knocked down. See, when we made the transition to Mr. Cox as our interim county council until Joe Larmer starts in April, we were roughly 60 contracts behind. And you got to remember that bucket is at 60 contracts we were behind and about to lose services for some of the most, some of the individuals that need these services the most. And as we knock those down, more pour in. But now they've knocked out roughly 60 contracts. There's about 15 old ones that are still outstanding. And so Alan, and to your staff and others, Stephanie Schreiber and other contract analysts, thank you. That's amazing work and great job. So thank you. With that, we will move on to...
Chair Cry,
sorry.
I just have a question.
Supervisor Rickert.
County Council. First of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Cox, for just your report earlier before the board meeting about getting those contracts kind of caught up. That's been, as you know, I've been concerned about that for a very long time. So I want to thank you. I also have a question just for clarification because I want to have clarity on this. When we give our board reports, are we supposed to keep those on the topics of just events we attend and issues that are directly associated with our role as a supervisor?
Happy day.
Yeah, we should stay away from political, references or any of those types of things.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I would also
Supervisor Garmin.
Go
ahead.
Thank you. I would also just point out that I think I attended the Elections Commission yesterday.
Sure.
And those folks did a fantastic job. And my understanding in talking to them is, can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good.
I just want to note in passing that in attending the Elections Commission, those folks did an excellent job of agreeing to disagree with each other. I understand they have some kind of a pact in that regard. And I've seen this morning from the board the same thing. So if there are any missteps or anything like that, I think it's easy to get carried away. But with regard to, no political speech, those types of things, just keep it to the matters on the agenda. I would say the same for the audience. It's actually fun to see the participation. I mean, I think you should all be proud of yourselves. This is how the country's supposed to work. But when you do get up and speak, there are many that have done just an excellent job. But when you lose your tone and you get overexcited, it kind of diminishes your argument, and that's something that they teach us lawyers, try to teach us.
Thank you.
To do in court. So thank you.
Supervisor Garmin.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. You'd mentioned you talked to the sheriff 3 different times about the code of conduct.
No, I didn't speak to him 3 different times. I said there's three items coming back from Monica's office as it relates to the attendees of meetings, employees, and the board itself.
So nothing to do with the code of conduct.
No, they're all having to do with the code of conduct.
With the code, okay, because I thought with just being for the board, that really need to go through the sheriff, but that's okay.
No, correct.
And it's not on the agenda, so I don't want to talk further about it.
And we're just putting all 3 together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You good?
But you do need to take public comment for R1.
Yes. Okay. And then is there any public comment for R1? Okay, so one thing I will say is, we already kind of did that, but as it relates to the supervisor reports, and these are countywide issues, but what we see is countywide issues have slowly become, federal issues that became state issues are now county issues. And so when we talk about like the sheriff going down to the border and what he saw and how horrible that is, we could all say, well, that's a state issue, but he said that is a
the border of what? Shasta and Tehama County?
Item on his radar, and it's not if it's going to impact our county, it is when it's going to impact our county. So when we talk about standing up for people's liberties and rights and illegal taxes, that is a county.
I mean, nobody that is coming into the country for fucking asylum or immigration says, you know what, I think I'm going to go to Reading.
My first or second year as a supervisor, I collaborated with our DA, and we put on a program for the community. We had about 300 or 400 people there, and it was a well-known author on the opioid situation and how so much of our problem is coming across the border. So I've been talking about this since I've been in office, and this is something we need to make sure that we're not allowing cartels coming up here. We're fighting with our illegal marijuana grows all the time. Sheriff Johnson has done an amazing job having over 60 eradication efforts. So, but we can't stop. We need to continue educating the public how much of a problem that really is. So I started very early on that.
Thank you, Supervisor Rickert. All right, so now we're going to move on to R2, receive a presentation from Dr. Kieran O'Mahony regarding his research into child development. This is sponsored by myself. One of the things I had mentioned as becoming chair, young families and kids are one of my priorities. We started with a report on the CACI and educating the public as to what that is. As I've worked with kids in various capacities for many, many years, Dr. Kieran O'Mahony and I met in, I think it was like the spring of 2021, and the research that he has done with the importance of having 4 adult role models in every kid's lives and the statistics that have come out of not just a lab.
I don't understand what this has to do with fucking Shasta County, fucking the budget items and distribution of funds, Kevin. You guys don't have anything to do with education. That is up to the Board of Education.
A lot of services out.
You should have recommended that he go talk to the fucking Board of Education.
Teaching them to fish themselves. And a lot of young parents need to be able to identify who those 4 people and the severity of, if you don't have those 4 people in your life, what the likelihood for your child's future.
Dude, my kids have like 16 fucking different role models, and at least 2 of them are in the fucking chat.
This is a presentation, so thank you. And Kieran or Dr. Omo, there's a button to the right if you want to put that up.
Yeah, I'm good.
If you want to raise it up.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Thank you, everybody. My name is Kieran O'Mahony. I am from Ireland originally. I've been here long.
At least he said he's limiting these presentations to 8 minutes.
I am a dad as well as a research scientist in cognitive neuroscience, and I talk to parents and teachers and to people in industry and people who are working with children and well-being, mental well-being, all around the country, but also around the world. I hadn't planned that, but during COVID, things happened. Things happened in places like India and Africa, and my work out of my kitchen in Seattle, which is where I live today, suddenly got catapulted into places like Bangalore and Kenya. I have 26 countries in Africa. I have thousands and thousands of teachers and parents in India. And what I'm talking about today has to do with every single parent and every single teacher and every single person who comes in contact with children. So I started off as a teacher. I was a very good teacher, but I didn't understand, or was I trained to understand, what happens when children get into trouble because of lived experience, and in particular when they get to a place of stress where they commit suicide. We had a spate of suicides in my country. I left to come here to train to understand how to help people. And when I got to the United States back in 1982, I came for 1 month, and I'm still here because it was a lot more complex here. I worked at the National Institutes of Health, 5 years, $5 million, and we did a lot of work with adolescent brain in terms of alcohol, drugs, and other things as well, stress being the factor that caused us to be more interested in solving their issues. 10 years with the National Science Foundation, $50 million to study how children learn. At the end of that, I was so upset because we didn't find the answer that I was looking for. I assumed we would because we had people from Stanford, SRI, all across the country in different universities working with us, and all that money and all that time, all these amazing brains, we didn't find the answer. And I was about to give up when I suddenly ended up by accident at the College of Education at the University of Washington in Seattle, and then across to the School of Nursing. Now, I know nothing about nursing or medicine because I'm an educator and I'm a dad. All I know is what happens when my children get sick. And what I learned in the School of Nursing was, by accident, that in the labs of the neuroscientists, we had all of the
we'll bring the little kitty in,
and the strategies that can help us to solve our children in all of the situations that they show up in as they go through their lives. And so we published many journals, articles in peer-reviewed journals to help us to understand and to get the word out. However, the biggest finding we had was a pedagogic model that we took with us into the school systems. We also knew, and it was from the very beginning, that what worked in the schools at age 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 also worked in industry and in homes at age 23, 45, 76. It doesn't matter because brain is brain. And so what we have today is working with HR companies, working with anybody who comes into contact with children. And what happened back in the days of 1990 to 1999, which was the decade of the brain, so much information came out to us and so many opportunities to build strategies.
Brain is brain.
Which we publish. I'm showing you these books not because my name is on them, but because, especially the one that's coming out in June, it's the people who worked in my system and then became specialists because we teach them to scale up and to do the work for us. So in the case of the teaching guide on the right-hand side, it's individuals with parents and schools who have had amazing successes in this country and other places. So we always work from the neurosequential model, which is basically how to regulate first, to relate secondly, and finally to reason. That's because the brain is built that way. The brain is built first of all, from the back to the front, and then
I wouldn't say maybe he's so much as a buddy as somebody that he's like thinks is smart that he's glommed onto, so he can utilize a presentation like this to give the optics that he's trying to like expand his role in making things better for the kids in fucking Shasta County. But it's just a, like you said, it's just a fucking, it's just a,
and how they
it's just a clocker runner outer
by about 60%. When people are predictable, consistent, and kind in their industry state, in their training, and in their connection to children, things.
Ooh, I don't know if this guy's donated to Kevin Cry. I'm not sure.
When we look at children,
he seems to write books and care about kids and stuff, so probably not.
Activity, which I never heard of until I worked with the neuroscientists. We look at individual brains in terms of how they react to systems, and how they react is genetically coded. We have no choice. We were born that way, and we're going to end up that way. However, if we understand that we were born that way, we can change things because we live in a world, and the world can be either extrinsic.
We live in a world. Really?
Most of our world is
I never would have known
because we are paid.
No, I don't think it's in good faith. I think it's just it's a smokescreen kind of thing.
Itself. But if we understand
like, oh, look over here, look over here.
Purpose, then we can change everything. And by changing everything, we have a lot better success with our children. So these are huge constructs, and I only have a few minutes to talk. So it's obviously the 30,000 level view. However, on any particular day when we do an exercise to upregulate our right hemisphere, we have a different day. And it's a very simple thing to do. We do it with children, and suddenly the children are ready for school. We do it for people in HR, and they're ready for work. Because people who have grown up in our school systems are products of our school systems, but we're also products of our genetics. And when we have more information about that...
See, now he's talking about genetics and fucking shit like that, and I'm afraid he's going to bust out a fucking set of calipers. I've been poisoned by Dave.
True potential, because every child has 100 billion neurons like you and I, and each neuron has 10,000 connections, and because of that, they have trillions and trillions and trillions of potential. So when your child shows up and somebody says, hey, it's a C- or a D-, and your child is not performing the way it should, it's not the child's fault. The child has the potential. It's us. We need to figure out how to do that, and we can. And we have proven that with thousands and thousands of teachers anywhere in the world, because brain is always brain. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll invite people to ask questions if they need to, but just know that there is a solution for children, and we have the solution in the last 10 years. With
just not the final solution, okay? Let's stay away from the final solution.
I'm very glad to talk to anybody about that, because I am a dad, first of all, and I'm a cognitive neuroscientist, secondly. Thank you.
Yeah. No final solution.
Thank you, Dr. Kieran. If there's anybody for public comment, I do have one card of Pam Hughes. As she makes her way up, I will say one thing. Go ahead and you can come on up. One thing as Ms. Hughes is coming up, when I met Kieran, a lot of schools, as you know, in the state of California, they push the start times back to as late. They can't start before 8 a.m. And part of the problem with that is you get a lot of school districts who stagger their start times, which is like because of busing, they'll start at 8, 8:15, and 8:30 for various schools. So kids were already getting dropped off at like 6:45 or even 6:30. So these kids were on campus for hour and a half sometimes. And some of those kids oftentimes are not the kids that tend to be the best scholastically. So when I was with a group of administrators talking about this, about how to regulate a kid's brain, I remembered back of meeting Dr. Kieran, and he didn't speak about it, but he was Educator of the Year in India, I believe, in 2022 or 23, and his work has been phenomenal in helping resilient kids get over the hump. So as we talk about ACEs scores, we won't know for 10, 20 years of this type of research and work. But one of the reasons you won't hear a lot about it is most people and big education can't monetize it, so it's not as popular, because this is great stuff. Anyway, Ms. Hughes, thank you.
Dr. O'Mahony, I appreciate your program. As a former educator, well, still an educator, always an educator, I always appreciate a new perspective on how children learn. But my comments today are to address you Supervisor Cry.
Long as we stick to
Chairman
R2.
Cry. When we have general interest items on the agenda, I think it's more respectful of people who have come to speak to issues that are current with the county, county business, that it's most respectful to put presentations like this at the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
So that we aren't holding employees and members of the audience longer than they would need to be to address.
Who have taken their time to coming down to this meeting.
So thank you, Dr. Mahoney, for your comments. And thank you, Supervisor Cry, for considering that point.
Supervisor Ricker.
Yes, I had a question for the doctor. If he, how does this connect with ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences? That's something that's been, we here in Shasta County have really tried to promote for all my time on the board. And I just want to know, where's the nexus? How does that fit into what you're talking about?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very important question. High ACEs, of course, predicts that children have a very bad trajectory through life. However, all of our schools, anywhere in the world, but mostly in America, we typically have 3 tiers. We have children who are what they call compliant, and then children who are at risk, and children who are high risk. And beyond that, then you have ACEs. So any child can have ACEs, even if the child is compliant or high risk. And the data is very clear on this. The science is very clear on this. Says that a child who has what we consider to be low autonomic nervous system reactivity can handle and bounce back because they have resilience. It's the children who are very sensitive, the high ANS reactivity children, who suffer the most. These are the children that we work with, and these are the children we have the best solutions with, and also the greatest achievement. So we know for a fact that the data is not my data. It comes from Thomas Boyce, who did his work up in UBC, to show that when you have high ANS reactivity children, that's the sensitive children, and you solve those sensitive children by changing your methods. In other words, when you think about, we usually typically call them orchid children because they're so amazing. At the same time, they're very difficult to raise. They're expensive in terms of emotion and also in terms of physical. You have to spend more money on these children and oftentimes spend more time in school working with them. And that involves special ed and all kinds of other 504, 408 programs, etc. And the point is that when you solve that child, and that's who we train our teachers to solve, we solve the entire classroom and then we solve the school.
The
first thing we found that, and we didn't believe it ourselves first because it's so unbelievable to think about, that a teacher called me and said, you have to come and see this. The child that was our high ACEs child, the child who was our most difficult child, is now leading the class. And I said to them, at the beginning, this is 15 years ago, please, this is a scientific program. You can't just oversell it. It's not politics. And she said, no, you've got to come and see it. And when I went there and I spent a week at the school, it was true. And then the data shows us that the children who have the worst outcomes are the children who have the least supports. And that's why we need those.
Well, that's fucking common sense, dude. Come on.
Adults in the child's
make a fucking
life. And if
people make a whole ass fucking career out of just common sense.
Or the coach or the cafeteria worker, if we don't.
Oh, these kids that don't have any support are doing poorly.
Does that help?
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
I have, just as a follow-up, I'm always curious about this. One of my degrees is in psychology. So how much do you think environment plays in behavior versus actual genetics, DNA, whatever? And to me, that's the proverbial question: is how can you tell what's going to play out with that in that child's life? Is it their environment influences more, or their DNA?
Yes, so yes, the child is hardwired, born with the DNA. So mom or dad, the biological mom and dad gives them either a short expression.
No, that's bullshit.
Expression of the serotonin transporter gene. And so because of that, the child is going to be very resilient or very sensitive. Well, if they don't know that, then they're going to be a victim of it. However, if the parents and the teachers and the child knows that, they can easily, it's a continuum, they can easily move themselves to a place of resilience. So once we discovered this information, and it's only 10 years old, we are able to take the teachers and teach them their genetic compatibility with living themselves. And when the teacher understands it, or the HR
Nope,
person,
you've moved me to fucking woo. This is some bullshit.
you can move yourself along the continuum. And yeah, I happen to be a very sensitive person, but I can tell when somebody's pressing my buttons, and I can say, you know what? I'm going to move over and be resilient. It's a very simple change that happens. We teach children how to do it, and we teach teachers to help them do it.
And I just want to comment, I've been to Ireland. It's a beautiful place. Actually, I went to see my former priest. He used to live in Burnie, and he moved back to Ireland. So I think it was in Virginia, the county of Virginia. I don't know if they're called counties, but anyway, beautiful place.
Thank you.
I have a public comment card here for Kim Moore.
Uh-oh.
Good morning, supervisors, county employees. You know, about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, we were talking about ACEs. And
What the fuck does her shirt say?
From Kelly Rizzi about, the learning brain down below and this upper brain. And when we experience trauma, then that makes it like this. And when our brain is hard fired.
Let's say it's over you, ho, on the bottom. What the fuck does this say? Something imbalance, like chemical imbalance.
I understand it,
I'm
Cherokee from Indian country. And I've been trained that we focus all of our time and energy and efforts on the children, because the adults, we have a less chance of saving them, but the kids, we have a chance to save them. And I saw that happen here with ACEs, that everybody focused on the child. And it seems to me that there's got to be a way, within a couple hours training or,
There's no way that in Shasta County that a child's DNA has more to do with their success or failure than their fucking environment.
Children,
I have a very hard time believing that.
Break this cycle, work on what my children were going through when they were having difficulties learning. I had my son, practically sweated blood when he had to do public speaking. And if it wasn't for one great teacher at Anderson New Technology, I don't know that my son would have ever gotten over that
Kim.
hurdle. So I'm
maybe
gonna
it's
ask you guys really to pick up the ball on the adults. I never lived in a housing project until I moved into the Woodlands 8 years ago. And if I could see, I can see what this gentleman's talking about. I wouldn't have been able to see it if I didn't know about it in myself. Where the ball got dropped was those of you that were handling it in the past didn't focus on these parents. We have to teach the parents. When you go to county social services, it's a lot of ABC 1, 2, 3 dumb stuff. And it's time that we start talking to these parents about how to go within themselves, look at themselves. Stop thinking
they don't have fucking people that are qualified to do that, dude.
Physics or, healers, people like Joe Dispenza, who's a great
this is the lady that always talks about
neuroscientist that teaches us how we can help heal our own bodies. There's so many tools outside of what this system, the county
this lady took ivermectin during the pandemic,
has been willing to make these tools available. Mr. Cry, congratulations. I mean, bringing this gentleman in. Thank you.
That's exactly what he wanted. That's exactly what he wanted. Was just the praise.
The wonderful presentation. I would like to disagree completely with the speaker number one on this. This is so crucial to take care of our children, youth, and whatnot. It should be almost right next to the pledge and the prayer. Our future is going to depend on what children are left that can function. Look what happened in COVID. It's not just malnourishment. It's not just drug-exposed children, neurological problems, cardiac problems, learning disabilities, coming from abusive homes. I'm a licensed clinician therapist. I worked with foster kids. I've worked with kids and families, licensed since the mid-'80s.
That's terrifying.
Here's my closing comment. We're either going to be watching, we're seeing victims of a crime on a global scale, and those of us that didn't take the vaccine boosters.
Keep it to R2, please.
It is. We're talking about our children, what's left of them. So they're either victims, we're watching and a witness to this.
She's like walking by like, this bitch is crazy.
Are there any other speakers to R2? Yes?
You speak about children, and it seems like everybody wants to dictate everybody's kids. I think everybody needs to mind their own darn business and leave their kids alone to their own parents.
And it's just, it's ridiculous how everybody thinks they know better and they know more of what advice to give a parent. It's ridiculous. I mean, I hear it all the time. It's like, you know, they're right, what they want to do with their child. Yeah, there's things that you have to report when you see something, but you can't always interfere in somebody else's life. When you do that, especially when you don't even have children, that's another issue. People think they know more when they don't even have children. Leave the children alone. They don't belong to the government. They don't belong to the people. Leave the children alone.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you, Dolores.
I think about Nicholas Winton, who rescued hundreds of Jewish kids during the Holocaust. So thank God some people care about the kids at all times. All right. With that,
Kevin, that was dirty and gross. And shut the fuck up. You're just disgusting.
R3, receive a presentation from the Auditor Controller. Yes. Receive a presentation from the Auditor Controller regarding the audit of the County Clerk's 2022 filing, oath of notary, and record bond fee, and consider providing direction to staff.
What a fucking disingenuous fucking line to draw between two completely different fucking, not even on the same fucking universe things.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. The floor is yours.
Good morning, Chair Cry, members of the board, Nolda Short, Auditor Controller. Give me 1 second to get set up here. Let's see where I'm at.
Right, now he's going to regret that because Dolores is going to come back later. She's going to rip him a new one. See, your problem is that you have a MacBook. Let's see, with fucking Lori, it can be a crapshoot, right? It's either vaccine injuries or just shitting on trans people. I could have gone either way.
Probably a 12-year-old somewhere.
Both are acceptable. Both answers are acceptable.
Maybe 10. Yeah. My son could probably, build a computer, but he can't butter his own toast without getting it everywhere. So I don't know how that works, but.
Well, it probably has to do with your shitty parenting skills, Kevin. Maybe you should have this dude that you had a presentation on come and teach you how to be a parent.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowe. I appreciate the laugh.
Okay.
We ready?
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. So this is going to look a little bit different than other presentations we've done. So I'm here to talk today about the audit that we did on one of the county clerk fees. I would like to thank Mr. Wildy. I don't know if he's here today, but he brought forth some questions that he had. He had worked with the department. The department was responsive in providing backup detail in relation to this fee, and then we were requested by the board to go ahead and take a look at this fee and do an audit. And so this is just sharing the audit, so it looks in a little bit different format because it's basically sharing our audit documents. So the complaints that were made are in column F here. So there was a concern that the percent of time here appeared to be higher than the percent of time spent for the people that you're going to see below in the direct section. There was some concern that some of the numbers here were rounded up in section C1, and then the same issue in section C2, and then we'll go on to the next tab and I'll show you what we actually found. There was a concern that the units here were rounded down, so there were 185 transactions in a year, and the department did an average per month, and it came out to 15.4, I believe, and so they were concerned that this was rounded down, which would then make the rate higher. And then there was also a concern about the $7 bond fee, which was originally reported to be a fee that was being passed on to the recorder, and so we'll take a look at that as well. Oh, can't see them. Okay.
Yeah, if you can, please be quiet from the floor. This will be made available I believe at the end, if you wanted a printed copy, we can't blow it up.
I do have 25 copies that I brought with me. It's not, it doesn't print very nicely, but I brought them. And then I also have the Excel file, which can be forwarded to anybody after the meeting. If you provide your email, I'm happy to share the results with everyone as well. I know it's a little small on the screen. I can try to blow it up just a little bit. But what I wanted to do was, makes it a little bit hard to see. Let me go to, be able to show them side by side and then what the findings were for each item. So this is the original, and then this is what we went through in our audit. So we did find that the 3.35% was valid. And I have a little schedule off to the right here. So the numbers that you were seeing, or that Mr. Wildy was seeing in number B1, which was $11,718, is only a subset of the hours that those administrative people spend on that function. And so what they did was, before they put that number in, they prorated it down to the percent of time that those 6 people only spent on clerk fee functions. So this 3.35% does not represent 3% of 100% of their time. It represents 3% of 182 hours. And so it's a very small number. That $705 represents 6 hours that those administrative staff spent on that function. The direct staff spent approximately 16.2 hours on the same function, so they are spending far less time. And then we also went through with the staff and asked them, what are those administrative staff doing in relation to this function? So they do daily deposits, they have some credit card reconciliations, they answer questions, they issue refunds at times. They have some additional reviews and approvals, some monthly reconciliations.
See, I knew it. I fucking called all this shit yesterday.
It would include anything having to do with preparing this fee study and any other administrative assistance. And for the number of transactions that it was represented, it comes out to 15 minutes per transaction, and we found that to be reasonable, that the administrative staff might spend 15 minutes on these fees. So that one we did find to be okay. I think the misconception is that they were thinking this was 3% of a person spending 1,800 hours, and it's really 3% of 182 hours collectively for those 6 people, and those numbers are here. We did find in section C1 that they should not be rounding up. They should either use the original number or round down. Those are the only 2 options, so we rounded those numbers down. In C2, their time that they reported, so this was their hourly rate, this is their time, that should also either use the actual number or round it down. You cannot round it up. We did expand it to 2 digits, so some numbers actually are reported higher, were rounded down by the department, and then some are lower. Because they just kind of used a round function, the net effect was not very much. You can see in this section totally was $775. And it ended up being $774. And when you divide it by the number of transactions, it's 4 cents per transaction. So that really was not where most of the issue was. And so we have advised them that they either need to use the actual number or round down, even though it's really immaterial for this calculation here.
Yeah, $1.
The biggest issue we found was on this 15 transactions. And so part of the reason that I wanted to put the spreadsheet up is because I want people to see that this is complicated. There's a lot that goes into these fee studies. And so the department, I think that, they were kind of on base that they were looking at, they did 24 transactions in the month that they studied, which is more than they normally do. And so they kind of wanted to normalize that. So they divided it by 12, coming out with 15. And so what it actually is that they had 24 transactions in that month. So if they're time studying for a month, and they have hours for that month, so the staff, if you imagine, had a lot more hours than they normally would, you need to divide it by 24. You need to divide it by the actual number of hours or of transactions that you had in that month. And what you would want to do, which I think was what they were trying to get at, is if you had some that were really far out, like you had a transaction you spent an inordinate amount of time on, you might want to drop that out of your time study because it's going to skew your numbers. So I appreciate that they were trying to average, but I think it was just
They broke it down all the way into each.
And so if you divide that by the 24 transactions, their hours that they spent, you're going to get a per transaction.
Look how far they broke that shit down to a fucking individual paperclip.
Down quite a bit. So at that point, the rate was 99. The actual cost is 62. And then if you come down to the bottom here, the $7 that was reported, this bond fee, so $21 was reported on our ordinance as flowing through to other departments. It was presumed that the $7 was going through to the recorder's office, and when we researched the detail, we had to go into the receivable system and track it back to a deposit. It actually is going back to the clerk's office, and since they're recovering 100% of their cost up here at the top in the $62, there's nothing left to be recovered, so they should not also be charging that $7. So during our audit, I would like to note that the department provided all supporting documentation necessary to complete the audit, and they did provide all the documentation to the public when they asked for it as well. Staff participated in the audit and were cooperative and timely with all responses. There was no evidence of corruption or intentional wrongdoing. And the following was the outcome of the audit, which we just talked about. The first thing was the calculation in Section B, fairly represent the hours, so there's no recommendation there. That's the 3.35%. Some items in Section C
I just assume that everything that has to do with the clerk's office is somebody trying to do a gotcha on Kathy.
The number of services shown in Section D originated from an average number of transactions for a month. And when time setting for a single month, staff will, going forward, use the actual transaction count for the month that corresponds with the time recorded in Section C. And the $7, the clerk will omit the $7 and maintain a note that discloses that any fees allowed in Government Code 26849 are already recovered through the fee calculation, so they're 100% cost recovery. So going forward, so some recommendations to the board, whether we need those recommendations or not. We want to remind staff that fees enacted by county ordinance that exceed the cost of performing a service are invalid and unenforceable according to the California Constitution and Government Code. We want to have staff immediately comply with the law and charge no more than the reasonable cost. And we would also like to issue refunds for the amounts that exceed the reasonable cost beginning from the adoption date of the fee that we studied, but not to exceed 2 years. There's some different statutes of limitations, and so we randomly picked 2 years. There's some that are 6 months, some that's 1 year, but to be fair with the people that we're charging fees to, this fee goes back 1 year. It was enacted in December of 2020. It was adopted in December of 2022, but it went into effect in the following January. So we're looking at 1 year. And then after our reviews and the refunds are complete, we can come back and officially update the fee ordinance so that it accurately reflects what we have going on here. And because I knew somebody would ask, we also put the estimated fiscal impact. And I would like to say that, I sat down with the department and found
it's like a $7 bond
items on the worksheet
attached to processing fees for things going through the clerk of the board, the clerk of the
them to go back and kind of look at other fees, and so they did that. They promptly went
city
back
clerk,
and looked, and so they did find one other fee that has the same flaw. That
clerk fee audit. Let's look at the top of the Excel sheet.
In terms of the transaction count. And so we're going to go ahead and do that, handle that one at the same time. So what we're looking at is about $12,000 for these two fees combined that will be refunded.
And if you'll notice for the public or even for the supervisors that there's a simple majority vote, but there does not need to be a vote because Nolda is an elected official and this is her jurisdiction and this is solely her call. So there will be no vote. At this time, is there anybody that would like to make public comment on R3? Okay. Nolda, I am very thankful for your diligence and work. I know this is something that, this is never about catching people doing things wrong, but government really is supposed to be here for checks and balances. So for all of those notary publics, especially for John Wildley, who brought this forward, I can't express my apologies that our government took money from you that did not belong to us, and you'll be getting it back. All right. With that, R4, receive a presentation from the Auditor Controller regarding Shasta County's whistleblower program. This was sponsored by myself as well. I think it's important for employees to have a
Kevin working overtime today, his last day as chair.
Where they feel there's multiple levels for them to be able to discuss things. And so with that, Nolda, thank you so much for preparing a second presentation.
Perfect. Okay, again, good morning and thank you. Nolda Short, Auditor Controller. I'm here today to talk about the Auditor Controller Whistleblower Program. And this is a little bit of a narrow focus. We're going to talk about the authority for the whistleblower program here in a couple of minutes. And while our program is focused primarily on waste, fraud, and abuse, I did put some definitions and some other things in this presentation that will just kind of pertain to all whistleblower complaints and anything that comes up in that regard. So today specifically, we're going to talk about the definition of a whistleblower, being able to protect whistleblowers or what protection is out there, the authority for the Shasta County Auditor's Whistleblower Program, an overview of what the program is, and then what we're doing to promote awareness. So a whistleblower is anyone who makes a good faith effort to disclose information about improper governmental activities or any significant threats to public health and safety. And although our program provides a couple of means for people to report, it's important to note that a whistleblower can use any method to report. I mean, they can report to a board of supervisors, they can report to their supervisor, it can be by phone call, letter, online, anonymous, not anonymous. So the fact that we have this program internally, a whistleblower can be anybody that blows a whistle about any object using
I don't have a whistle.
any means possible, as long as it relates to the county
Don't have no
or
whistles.
county employees or some impropriety related to us. So there's a lot of protection out there for whistleblowers. So retaliation against an employee for making a report of suspected fraud, waste, or abuse is unlawful. And I'm not going to go into those because I'm not an expert on all whistleblower laws, but I put a couple of examples out here. And just as an example, Cal OSHA, they have over 20 laws that pertain to whistleblower protection. So there's quite a bit out there. I think it's just important for people in the county to realize that if somebody is a whistleblower, retaliation is against the law. Notes. I'm going to pull up my notes real quick. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, so for the auditor's whistleblower program that we have, it provides a means for reporting fraud, waste, and abuse within Shasta County government. It also promotes awareness and provides guidelines and assigns responsibilities. So we have some guidelines in there as far as when somebody reports, who do we report it to, who gets notified. What you definitely don't want in a whistleblower program is only one person gets notified, because then, there's the ability to bury that. Not that anybody would do that, but you want to make sure that that complaint is going out to multiple people and that,
What's up, YouTube?
wait for that to happen. I think I skipped a slide. I did skip a slide. So this is the government code that allows the auditor controller to establish and maintain a whistleblower program to provide a means for persons to report fraud, waste, and abuse within government. And so that's specifically what I'm going to talk about today is the auditor's whistleblower. There's a lot of things that fall outside of that. There's things like harassment, toxic work environment. There's other things that are not specifically fraud, waste, and abuse. We do get some of those through the whistleblower hotline. If we do forward those on to the appropriate agency for investigation. Okay. So for the purposes of our program, for the policy, the definition, fraud, waste, or abuse means any activity by the county or a county employee that is undertaken in the performance of the employee's official duties. And this can all be read in the program. So a lot of this I'm taking right out of the program, out of the policy. That is undertaken in the performance of the employee's official duties, including activities deemed to be outside the scope of his or her employment that is in violation of any local, state, or federal law or regulation relating to corruption, malfeasance, bribery, theft of government property, fraudulent claims, fraud, coercion, conversion, economically wasteful. So I'll let you guys read through the rest of that section. So for the whistleblower program in Shasta County, there are 3 ways that employees can make a report. So there is the whistleblower hotline. They can call in. It is anonymous. You leave a voicemail and somebody doesn't pick it up. And then that Everything going into that phone line is transcribed and sent to our whistleblower email group, which means that it's going out to 4 people. There's 4 people in our office that get notified anytime there's a whistleblower complaint. So it goes to the auditor controller, the assistant auditor controller, it goes to our chief deputy auditor of the internal audit division, and our confidential agency staff services analyst. And what that does, I mean, not that there would be complaints about the auditor, but if there were a complaint about the auditor, it also doesn't allow that complaint to be buried. So by having everything broadcast to those 4 people, and then we have additional reporting processes, which I'll go over in a minute, where they get copied to other people like the CEO or county council. We do recommend that if people want to remain anonymous, that they use the first 2 methods. If you use the last one, obviously your email is going to be on there. But we'll take it from anybody. I've had people that have sent in mail. I have people that call on the phone. If we have policies in place where if they call me directly, my first thing is I try to encourage them to fill out the whistleblower form, explain to them why that's important, that it broadcasts to 4 people. But if they don't want to do that, they can tell me. I'll take down as much details as I can, and then we send it to the email group so that it gets broadcast to all 4 people. The same if we get something in the mail, we'll scan it. We'll put it in to the whistleblower email group, make sure that all 4 people are getting it. But it is important. So for me, I prefer the first 2 because it automatically goes to all 4 and it doesn't have a person in the middle of it. Just making sure I haven't forgotten anything important. Okay, so for all county employees, this is available to all county employees. If they go to the intranet and you go to the department tab at the top and click Auditor Controller, you will get the whistleblower program and the whistleblower program policy. Also from the main intranet page, there's a whistleblower link on the left-hand side. They can click on that and it will also bring you here to this page. And it again recites the phone number that they can call in. And then if you go to the bottom of this page, you will get the whistleblower form. So this is the online whistleblower form. And we ask people to put in as much detail as they can, especially if they want to remain anonymous. Put in as much detail so that we have enough detail that we can actually investigate. The whistleblower program policy is out there also for them. And so they can read through that as well. So that's where they can find those documents. So the whistleblower program policy, all complaints are logged and numbered. So we actually have a log in our office where every call that comes in, even if it's a test call, we got one that said that a dog was barking in the background. So that goes into the log, that there was a call and that the call was found to be something that we're not going to investigate. We do get a lot of things for other agencies. We get stuff for the city of Reading or waste management. Those are also logged. And then the disposition of those items is logged with that as well. They're numbered. And then all complaints, according to our policy, must be evaluated within 30 days. That doesn't mean the investigation is going to be complete. It means we need to have somebody bring some attention to it, be looking at it, and be moving forward on it. And then investigation should be complete within 90 days. That there is a stipulation that some investigations take longer than that, and so extensions can be made where appropriate. So the auditor will...
If it doesn't fit within the things, we just throw it in the trash.
That doesn't mean that we're the one necessarily that's doing the investigation. Sometimes we utilize other county departments, or it ends up being forwarded off to other people. This is especially true with a lot of things having to do with HR.
Nolda, I like you,
if
but
somebody
it's
reports that
especially
taking too long on their
there's no
time,
and especially
of county resources, we will usually use
it makes you sound fucking uneducated, and you obviously are.
We will rely on the expertise of others to participate
especially
in those things happen, and then they will report back to us whether it's substantiated or not, and then that will go into the log. And then all resolutions of complaints within the county's jurisdiction will be documented and maintained by the auditor, so we know what the outcome of those investigations are when it's within our jurisdiction. Okay. So this is what we just talked about. Many employee-related matters.
Especially Pleck. That's right.
Investigation as appropriate. And when referred out for investigation, the outcome is required to be reported back. They are not required necessarily to report all the details to us, especially if it's an employee-related matter, but that it has been substantiated and the issue has been resolved.
See, the thing is it's so distracting that once I hear it, I can't fucking focus on anything else other than she just said, especially.
There's a lot of information in the policy about confidentiality, so the identity of a person providing the information is not going to be disclosed to anybody without their written permission. There is a couple of things that I always like to let people know. So if it's a legal issue and we have to report it to the police or the district attorney's office, we're obviously going to have to release that person's name and the information that goes with it. And the other thing is if it's found to be substantiated by HR, then the name will be reported to the appointing authority for appropriate disciplinary action. Like if they are actually stealing time or falsifying time cards or those things, then obviously that information is reported to the appointing authority. So any investigative audit conducted by the auditor control.
Yeah, there's some local businesses that decided to call it quits recently that would do themselves a whole lot of good to review rules and laws and things around fucking time card fraud. Just saying.
Investigatory materials or information is all subject to confidentiality provisions. So what are we doing to promote awareness? So we have a whistleblower hotline, and we call it the whistleblower hotline because in the beginning there was only a hotline, but now we actually have an online form, but somehow whistleblower hotline has kind of stuck with it. But we have a hotline or a flyer that we send out every year to employees. So we put it in the county newsletter. This last year we sent it to every county email by way of county email. And so it gives them kind of what are we looking for them to report, gives them some examples, gets them thinking about what constitutes fraud, waste, abuse, or mismanagement. And the definitions and example here are taken from one of the federal websites, so the Government Accountability Office. And so it's just getting that information out there, reminding people that if they see any of this, that they should report. The three main reasons that people give for not reporting corruption are fear of the consequences, the belief that nothing will be done and that it will not make a difference, and uncertainty about how, where, and to whom to report. And so we're trying to make sure we're getting this information out to people, making them feel comfortable to be able to report, and making sure that they understand where they can make these reports to. And then going forward, one of the things that I would like to do, and we can't do it now, but because we're in the process of updating our intranet page, but I would like to add some tips out there. So one of the things that we struggle with is not enough detail and there's no contact information. And so there's no way to follow up with people. So I'm really encouraging people to put enough detail in there that we can do an investigation. And it's okay to put your name in there also, because even though you put your name in there, it doesn't mean we're going to release it to anybody unless it was one of those two situations where it goes to law enforcement or there's some legal wrongdoing on the terms of an employee, and it has to be reported to the appointing authority. But they can put their name in there and we still won't release it to the CAO's office or to other people. And so we need to make sure that if we have questions, we can follow up with them and say, hey, can you provide more detail? Or did you have the person's name? Or do you have a date? And so those are the two things we struggle with. And then it just kind of dies because there's not enough and there's no contact info. So that'll be something that we'll be looking at going forward. So that pretty much concludes what I have for the whistleblower hotline. If anybody has any questions for me.
Thank you, Nolda. Supervisor Garman.
Yeah, I'll start with this.
And we do have public comment.
Yeah. I just have a question. When you talk about the whistleblower program, does that include, let's just say somebody, a county employee or a county department head feels like they're being bullied by one of us Board of Supervisors? Would they be able to file a whistleblower complaint about that? Or what would be the process for them in that situation where they don't feel like they're going to be retaliated against or get fired?
So that's a good point, and I did have that in my notes, and I forgot to bring it up. But there are many things that happen in a county that are not waste, fraud, and abuse. So, you know, I would look at, if you feel like you're being harassed, you have a toxic work environment, those kind of things, those are HR issues, and those should be reported directly to HR. If you have a safety issue in a workplace, those should be reported to risk management. And, you know, I mean, I always encourage people to go to your supervisor first or your manager first and see if you can get some resolution. And
hello, Michael McAllister.
Then to report it to
you know, watching these meetings over the last couple of years, they're kind of confused as to what they want as far as government.
The manager and see if they fix it and they resolve it, because, you know, I would do that as a manager first before it ever gets escalated to a whistleblower. But they always have the option to.
Well, thank you for following again, Eric. We appreciate it.
And then we end up forwarding it on to HR because it's not within our jurisdiction of the auditor's whistleblower hotline, which is waste, fraud, and abuse.
And do you know how it would go from there with HR, or is that a question for HR?
That will be a question for HR.
Thank you.
Supervisor Rickert.
Sounds like Tim wants to fire a complaint on Kevin.
Presentation, and I've never really mentioned this before, but one first or second year I was a supervisor, I had someone that worked for a governmental agency in the county came forward with me with some issues. I went to Larry Lees, at the time he was the CEO, shared with him the information I was given. I stepped back because it wasn't my place to do any investigation. He followed through, I think he worked with Brian Muir, your predecessor, and few people left the county, and so it was a problem. And
See, even Mary's not above running people out of town if they're genuinely shitty people.
I just want people to know that it can be, you can be very effective, and it was handled immediately, and I was very pleased that something changed. So.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. So we have one comment card. If you would like to fill out a speaker request card to speak on R4, you can do that, or you can come line up. The first speaker card I have, though, is Kim Moore.
Kim Moore. Okay, here we go. Jump down the rabbit hole. I want to again ask the supervisors to expand this or to come up with a secondary program for citizens. Tim, you brought up protections for county employees being talked to by supervisors. What happened to the citizens? I live in an MHSA unit, a county-run program at the Woodlands. I reported. I came forward as a whistleblower. Mr. Cox, thank you for what you said this morning, because I'm trying to keep it real mellow here. I went forward and reported an on-site manager working for the management company for sleeping with various women living in MHSA units. I experienced whistleblower retaliation. Everything on
Really, Kim, though, it kind of seems like you're more of a nosy bitch than somebody who cares about things being put right.
A county program, the county was going to protect me. Mr. Miguel here sat at one of those meetings.
Well, Eric, you if you are not in our Discord, you should definitely jump in our Discord, because every time we go live, there's an alert.
I'm still going through it intermittently. I have a problem with you because you knew what was going on. You were privy to, I'm not going to argue with you, you were privy to information. I supplied a plethora of it, and you allowed it to continue, and you knew what was going on. So I want to ask you to make this broader or come up with another system for citizens who experience something like what I have experienced to report to. I didn't know. Uncertainty about where and whom to report to. I thought when somebody like Miguel came to the table that I was in good hands, that I was going to be protected. I only know of two county employees who stood up for me. One of them was Julia from the STAR team, and she asked them why I was being targeted because what I had reported had been proved to have been factual. And then Robin Mayer was the other one, and she got retaliated against and fired, moved around department to department, and eventually retaliated against. So I appreciate what you guys are doing here, but I want to ask you to take it a step further, and let's keep it real, Mary.
I appreciate what you're doing, but you're still not doing enough.
Good morning, Board. Supervisor Garman, I do want to clarify that there are legitimate reasons for employees to be reporting the supervisors themselves on the hotline. Nolda showed some of the law, and there's mention of coercion and abuse. And so a couple examples would include if a supervisor is showing up at a work site and having staff re-triage services to maybe one of their constituents, or if a supervisor is showing up at a building site trying to influence the outcome of an inspection. Those are all illegal abuses of power. So I want to encourage county employees that are listening to this broadcast or watching it to use the whistleblower hotline. And it's much more powerful than making an HR grievance because of the confidentiality and the protection you get as a whistleblower. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Apologize. I've been a hermit since 2010.
Yeah.
After being cancel cultured by the FBI, after seeking their help, after Shasta County law enforcement beat my wife of 50 years and left her on the ground with 4 children crying in Shingletown after one of those illegal inspections. My wife and I refused to sign a consent form for PG&E in 1990s. It led to some severe harassment. We had a legal right to live in a travel trailer on property we had owned since 1978. However, the Shasta County District Attorney's Office under McGregor Scott started peppering me with fines for illegal occupancy of an RV on my own property. A whole series of events have taken place. Supervisor Carr, you were the first government official to refer. Excuse me.
Take your time.
On Saturday, I was in bed all day vomiting blood. Yeah,
I'm glad you're in the Board of Supervisors chambers right now then, sir.
2022, my property was unlawfully quitclaimed to a son that law enforcement was using to blackmail Susie with behind my back. 2012, my wife and I sought asylum outside the United States under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I haven't seen her since. I have no idea what happened to her. A Navy SEAL named Larry Lowbridge attempted a homicide on me in Shingletown in 2013. It didn't go well for Larry. It didn't go well for him at all. He ended up at my mercy, and he told me they did me a favor. My wife was making me miserable. My son, Patrick George Carroll, is a California highway patrolman who received $98,000 from Governor Schwarzenegger his first 6 months guarding movie sets to keep his mouth shut. He also got a stock car. 2022, I get a call from Shasta County Deputy Nathan Baker, who, by the way, is a stand-up man. His things played out. Nathan Baker, Sergeant Gonzalez, and a deputy, Tom Carroll, whose last remarks were he hoped that he didn't end up with my crosshairs on his head, which would never happen. Tom Carroll is a class act, and he tried to teach me how to speak publicly and to the police in a more productive manner at his own risk. And so Nathan Baker, Sergeant Gonzalez, Tom Carroll, and other deputies actually went out of their way in 2022 to prevent me from getting myself murdered by cop. After my property had been unlawfully quitclaimed to Matthew, one of my sons, who I last saw in 2010 when he put me in the Marine Corps death hold, and it took a half a dozen people to keep him from killing me. 2022, PG&E and the Sheriff's Department.
That's your time, sir. You're welcome to come back to the next meeting. You'll have 3 minutes in public comment again.
Well, Mr. Carr, I came here in your advice this morning to
Yes.
But I'll be dead by then.
Absolutely. That's your 3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
You bet. Come on up. And this is about
R4.
Correct. Whistleblower.
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent information. Thank you, Nolda Short. And it's good to see that there's greater and more options available. The one thing is the fear to report is always there. When you are an employee somewhere and if you have
Top of the line one, Carlos Rossi, Lori Bridgeford, you still can't use the auditor's whistleblower line to tattle on Nathan.
So you can be anonymous, but they will certainly know who you are. So I just want to make that emphatic point, and that the people that have been retiring, quitting, and leaving, that was alluded to earlier, whether they were whistleblowed upon or not, that people will start to quit, retire, or get fired, and it's what they do is they bring either Patrick Jones or you, and that's problematic. The whistleblower program is crucial, and I'm glad that this presentation was here. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. I don't have a card for you.
Well, I just want to say, as a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people, being that we the people hold sovereignty in our Republican form of government mandated by Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, any time that there is a injustice or fraud taking place, for instance, if anybody's calling, say, statutory civil law for all people, that would be commission of fraud, which the police powers are to prevent the commission of fraud. and the prevention of crime under Title 18 of the criminal laws of the United States. I just wanted to second what the one man was saying. I was speaking to a sergeant at Reading Police, and he actually admitted to a thing called cancel culture, and which is a violation of equal treatment and equal protection, since there's complete equality between the governed.
Yeah, they're not going to read them out, but you can. I mean, you could send a public comment in, but they won't read them out loud or anything.
Equal protection of all laws. So it is a serious issue that's going on, but it's our duty as a free people, as a sovereigns. Anytime there is something that is taking place in our community, we must expose it and we must stand up for it, because we could be guilty of the same sin, or sin is transgression of the law. So we could be guilty of the same offense if we do not stand against tyranny. Just like when we declared our independence from George III, who was a tyrant, because we cannot be standing for corruption and fraud. So that's why I just wanted to say that it's important that it's our duty, it's our right to do so. God is omnipresent; He's in every place at the same exact time, and there's no secret sin that can escape the presence of our Lord. And that's our founding fathers. They fought to secure our religious liberty that's protected by the Constitution.
You're incredibly boring, sir.
Is that we're all equal. Nobody can act superior over the natural, and it's really wrong for us not to be protected when we are exposing the wrongness in our own government, or the lawlessness that's in our own government. So we really need to figure out how we, the people, are protected from law
You've
enforcement.
been pilled, sir.
For any personal gain, not for any personal interest, but just to defend the Constitution and to guard unalienable rights as we hired the government. I mean, the Declaration of Independence is the first page of our law. I mean, it's the first law. And it is law. It's statutes at large, which actually...
No, the Declaration of Independence is not a law. It's a declaration of war.
That is why
the Bill of Rights is law.
So, and we have the freedom of press. We shouldn't be licensed or anything like that. It's abusing liberty. So anyways, we really need to figure out how to protect the people that are exposing the lawless.
Thank you. Coming up.
Next on the agenda, no more licenses. Yay, Dolores.
I'm glad you brought that item up on the agenda, because it's important for everyone to understand that no matter who it is who is actually retaliating against you, you need to report them, including the public officials. You should not fear men. You should expose them. You need to not to be afraid of these board of supervisors. You need to report them. I love that you would put that on there, because it says waste and abuse and fraud. And I understand that very well. Fraud, abuse by Kevin, waste by Kevin, waste by all three of you, abuse of your position. Most of you people are just no different than some of those politicians out in Washington. Yeah, you think you're better, but we need to report them. This is what I do. This is my specialty, reporting people like you.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I have an organization called Shasta County Watchdog Group, not the one Mr. Richard thinks, going out there trying to contact people to say that, hey, is she part of your group? It's none of his business what group I'm in. But we need to report you guys, because you hold.
What is up with the fucking camera?
You guys are also breaking the laws.
It's terrified of Dolores.
Reported. You need to be brought down. We need to hold you to hold your feet to the fire. I also join the ACLU, and I will become one of their part of their organizations, because I am sick and tired of people like you who think you're above the law. Yeah, you might not want to look at me, Kevin Cry, but you do. You've broken so many laws. That's why they're out there to recall you. You think you're above the law, but You know what? I'm not afraid of you. No one should be afraid of you just because you think you have a name. The chair of the Shasta County mean nothing. That's just a title. When you represent the people, when you break the law, you abuse your position, doesn't make you any, you're not special. You're just a corrupt official. You could talk all you want and be rude.
Yeah, Kevin's probably broke a couple laws here and there.
But you will.
But it's nothing that anybody
don't
would
forget,
consider
people,
like.
vote him out.
I don't know. I guess if you're an elected official, anytime you break the law is serious, but
I don't know how to follow that. My name is Mike James. In addition to how to go about adding more stuff to that, in some respects, I do somewhat agree with her. The board should not be voting on things that ingratiate themselves. Mr. Cry, a few months ago, you had stated something to the effect of, you don't wish this county to grow any bigger than what it currently is. And that's what I do recall you saying. You like a small community. You like it small.
What's up, Astro?
Couple, 3-4 weeks later, you come across and say, we're having a shortfall in money getting our services to where they need to be. Then in January...
This is about the whistleblower?
It is about the whistleblower.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
And so this all wraps around that entire element. And that is, Mr. Jones is apparently wanting to build a gun range. Apparently he's applied for a building permit. Well, in doing so, there are impact fees that go into schools, roads, police officers. Well, you guys voted to get rid of all the impact fees. So you're ingratiating him with 20 grand in his pocket. This goes to whistleblower. But
also the two people before Dolores didn't have shit to say about whistleblowers, so go fuck yourself, Kevin.
A new home, there's approximately $35,000 to $50,000 per home that goes into the fund to pay this gentleman, to pay that gentleman.
You got to tie it in. It's pretty,
I'm tying it in.
It's pretty far.
No, it's not far off at all. This is self-ingratiation to yourself. So into what this lady promoted about whistleblowing, do we come to her for whistleblowing on you, or do we go above her head and go to the state? Because with what you're doing and passing laws to ingratiate him is what it is, you're looking at costing this county this year alone anywhere from $1.2 million to $4 million, depending on how many new home constructions are going in. And any contractor that's out there putting forward new construction will save that money, but will harm getting new officers. And again, ingratiating yourselves. So I would ask her to put forth phone numbers to go above your heads so that they can't be negated.
Nolda, do you want to speak on about the 37 points where that's incorrect? Maybe 40 if I round it up.
Well, I can tell you that.
Go ahead, Nolda.
I can tell you that currently the county's whistleblower program is only open to county employees. There are some large counties like LA, Orange counties that have an open whistleblower program. It would take an inordinate amount of staff to I mean, you would have to have somebody that I think some of them have like 6 people that's what they do. They sit and they review whistleblower complaints and review those. Not that, hearing those complaints is not, important. I would say at this point in time, report them to any agency that you feel is, we don't have a hotline for it, but if you feel like there's some wrongdoing, report it to anybody. Report it to the CAO, report it to the state. But we don't currently have that in our whistleblower program currently.
Thank you. Next speaker, come on up. If you want, there's a button on the right that'll raise that up for you since you're taller. This is for R4 whistleblower item,
which overlaps into my intended presentation later. The whistleblower program fundamentally is good when it comes to the spirit of it, but it's flawed. We all have different eyes here. I'm not going to count all the eyes in the room. Never good at math anyways.
Where's your dog, bro?
How come neglect, abuse and neglect is not there? Neglect's critical. How about nonfeasance? Not doing something which should be done. Ooh, let's tie it to the board and whistleblowing.
Oh, there it is.
You guys are failing to do whistleblowing.
Doggo, blink twice if you're in trouble.
Later, as a supplement, when it comes to how the crooked criminal justice system is counterproductive with your public defenders, Article 1 of the Constitution, no state shall enter into laws impairing the obligation of contracts.
Oh no, there's fucking Nick Gardner behind him.
Judges and stuff doing what they're doing, but tie it back.
Ready to come in and talk some fucking Jordan Peterson uncle bullshit. Plug his radio channel.
18 U.S.C. Section 4 and 2382. Recall's the least of your worries. Quit concealing crimes.
Come on up.
It's my belief that Nolda Short misunderstood what you wanted her to come up here and explain. I understood that the impact fees collect about $500,000 a year.
You don't have to go. It's R4. Got to stick to R4. I know where you're going with it, and I get it, but R4 is what you got to stick to.
Okay. Well, could you have Nola come up and explain how much impact fees we collect?
She doesn't have to articulate any public comment. I mean,
okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. People can say whatever they want. All right, come on up. Thank you.
I kind of like how Kevin just shut him down, though.
Oh, gosh. I wonder if this whistleblower thing you're talking about protects someone like me that's blowing the whistle on county employees, such as your judge and the Shasta County Sheriff's deputies. Some time ago, I was the director of Reading Loaves and Fishes, which gives food to the poor. Right next to us was the Missing in America Project, a veterans organization that I was proud to help and serve. One of the directors of that organization told me that the militia has their bridge wired to blow with illegal explosives and that they have two 50 caliber machine gun nests ready to go at any moment. I thought that this was just absolutely outrageous, that this, and I'm sure these people are not liars. So I ran this by my neighbor, who I was talking to at the time, Deputy Sheriff Will Bigelow. And he said, so, oh, you know about the explosives? Yes. Oh, you're a member of the militia? Yes. And again, I think this is outrageous. So I reported him to the FBI. I've reported your judge, Molly Bigelow, Molly Bigelow, to the Commission on Judicial Performance, which they are having presently an investigation on that. Your deputy is harassing me, who lives right next door to me, taking pictures of my vehicle when I park an inch up on the curb. The police have already wrote me several tickets when I try to do anything about it.
He's talking about fucking militia fucking hijinks, Drake.
To the police
It's wild up there. I'm telling you. I believe this guy. I believe it.
Or the Commission on Judicial Performance against Judge Molly Bigelow. I don't appreciate what's going on here one little bit. I'm being harassed, intimidated. Dissuading a witness is illegal by one of your deputies, who just did this just yesterday to me. It goes on over and over again. I don't appreciate it. I'm not about to have people like Richard Gallardo be in possession of illegal weapons or illegal explosives, and I don't appreciate it one little bit. The FBI knows about it. The Commission on Judicial Performance is investigating it, and I would hope to God you people would do something about it.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to R4? Seeing none, we will move on to R5, adopt. Oh. Come on up, R4.
I just want to say, Nova, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for bringing those the flyers. I know it's not your meeting, but maybe if it's going to be something like that where it's going to be small print, we can get them put out. I know normally I get it done. I guess got forgot this time. Whistleblowing is not easy. I don't know if anybody thinks it is. You are going to be retaliated against. I've never personally gone through it because I've never had to be in that situation. But you have to push through it. Otherwise, you are the other side of that same problem because you're letting it happen. You're allowing people to get away with it, and it's no different than, let's say, baseball. You don't hit every pitch, but you keep at it, you keep at it, you keep at it. And if it comes to the supervisors, you're unhappy with them, There's elections, there's recall. I actually hope we don't get recalled, but it's
It
there.
kind of looks like a fucking old school Napster shirt, doesn't it?
We're talking about the whistleblowing, and that's a way to do it. There's also, if there's no mechanisms in place for the board, try the district attorney, try the sheriff, try Doug Malfa, try Gavin Newsom, try anybody. You just keep going and going. Because maybe somebody, even if they're on that other side of the scale, who doesn't really agree with you, they might see that what's being done to you or what's being done to the county or the city is wrong, and needs.
That was Chris Solberg.
Because
what I was saying is I believe that there's that the militia has rigged a fucking bridge with bombs and has fucking 50 cal fucking turrets. I believe that part of it. I don't know about all the rest of it.
It's there.
But
And
I've known a lot of fucking militia people in Northern California, and it wouldn't fucking surprise me.
About different types of fraud. And I'm sure there's things up there where you don't think it's a fraud or a crime or something that's wrong because everybody else did it. But keep your eye open, be vigilant, and when you see something wrong and you decide to be a whistleblower, keep at it.
Thank you, Stephen. Is there anybody else for R4? Come on up, Jenny. If anybody wants to speak on R4, please go ahead and just come over to the railing now, or we will be moving on to R5 after this speaker.
I wasn't going to say anything to this one, but I'm hearing a lot of inaccuracies. So while it would be quite pleasant for us as citizens to be able to report illegal activities or immoral, I guess I'll say, activities by the county, we cannot go through the county system. However, there are systems in place, and maybe at most the county could also educate us as citizens who we would report things to. In the scenario of the loaves and fish man who came up here and stated that he was being harassed, that would fall under the RICO Act of 1967. I'm tired today, sorry. In the RICO Act, when officials join together with several different people in order to commit illegal activities, you would report that to the federal government as a RICO Act violation. But as other things such as...
And they're on the corner of Turn Creek and Mistletoe, in case anybody needs to go talk to the
Woodlands
feds.
not being run properly, there would be other authorities that you would go to, other than obviously the county's not working. There would be a series of steps you would take, such as to go to the local DA, and when that doesn't work, you would go to the state AG department. And so there are ways to, I guess, I'm not sure it's called a whistleblower if we're not working for or under some sort of purview of them. But if you fear retaliation, there are still methods of reporting anonymously to both the federal and state government. So that's just something that might want to be addressed, since people are concerned about whistleblowing, since the county employees have a space, but the individual citizens don't know how to do it. Perhaps that would be something to come back later for the county to educate the citizens on how they too can hold accountable their government. Thank you.
Thank you.
Her Glock is green. It's covered in frogs.
Anybody else would like to speak to R4, please come to the railing.
Supervisor Cry, I have a question for you. How many people did you invite to come and talk today besides the one gentleman to speak on these issues?
This is your time.
Pardon?
This is your time.
You're not going to answer the question?
I will tell you, the gentleman with the beard reached out to me via email, and I responded. Like I said,
Okay.
I respond to just about every email I receive.
And then I had a question for your auditor controller that she answered, and that yes, the public can file a complaint of breaking a law of a commission or the Board of Supervisors.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak to R4? Seeing none? Okay, we're going to move on to R5. Board matters continued. Adopt the proclamation which designates March 2024 Social Work Appreciation Month in Shasta County. Miguel Rodriguez, please come on up.
Chair Cry, members of the board, my name is Miguel Rodriguez, Director of Mental Health Services through the Behavioral Health and Social Services Branch. I want to thank you for taking the time today to help us celebrate all the staff throughout California who provide or engage in social services. The Social Work Appreciation Month was first organized in 1963 and officially recognized in 1984 through the National Association of Social Workers, and each year the association chooses a theme. This year's theme is Empowering Social Workers. I feel honored to be standing in front of you to help bring awareness and celebrate our social work staff. It was over a year ago that we merged our Adult Services Branch and Children's Services Branch into what is now known as the Behavioral Health and Social Services Branch, whose mission is to improve the well-being of our community through integrated services. Often when people hear the word social work or social worker, they automatically associate that with child welfare or adult protective services. However, social work encompasses a broad range of occupation. During your tenures as Board of Supervisors, I have firsthand experience of when you all engaged in social work. Supervisor Garman, your work in advocacy for childhood diabetes awareness is a great example of social work. Supervisor Rickert, your service in the Mental Health, Alcohol, and Drug Advisory Board, your advocacy for mental health services and substance use disorder services is also a great example of social services. Supervisor Kellstrom, we've had conversations and you have personally advocated for children and caregivers in the child welfare system. Supervisor Jones, your support of our internal services staff and contracted services is also an example of social work.
Phantom Salami.
Tara, our child welfare deputy director, myself, and you have engaged in on-the-field social work, helping a mother and her children get available services and resources. In our branches, and I say branches because I'm talking about the Behavioral Health and Social Services Branch as well as the Economic and Mobility Services Branch, we celebrate every employee from our front office staff to our child welfare and adult protective services, eligibility workers, and everybody in between. Advocacy is at the root of social work, and as a matter of fact, everybody in this room, regardless of your political view or beliefs, engages in social work when you advocate for what you believe to be social justice. Today, I want to focus on a few programs where social work is at the heart of each interaction. Our public guardian staff advocates for over 150 community members who are within the process of being currently conserved, or in the process of getting off conservatorship. In 2023, our in-house support services program received over 49,000 calls, over 1,600 new applications for services, completed over 4,000 reassessments, oversaw more than 4,000 caregivers, and as well as 44,000 recipients. Their most recent audit resulted in the state of California requesting additional time in order to find deficiencies, and were extremely impressed when they were unable to do so, which led to their request for our team to help other counties who struggle and become the model for other counties in California. In child welfare, we received over 1,700 referrals for suspected child abuse and substantiated over 700 instances of child abuse. We had over 80 successful adoptions, and most importantly, we had over 100 reunification of children and their families. Lastly, but never least, our Adult Protective Services team, who are here to receive the proclamation, investigated over 5,100 abuse allegations, including neglect, abandonment, abduction, financial.
I was say 51,000 in a county and fucking of like 180 something. That's a lot.
Which includes social worker aides, field social workers, nurses, and supervisors, deal with some of the most traumatic situations and should be recognized as some of the most resilient staff within the county. Once again, thank you for helping us empower professionals who advocate the most vulnerable populations in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Garman, would you like to read the proclamation?
Yeah, I'll read the proclamation here. Before I read this, I just want to say thank you to all the social workers out there for the hard work they put in. I know you guys are short-staffed everywhere, and it just it takes an army to do the job, and thank you all. Now I'll read the proclamation. Shasta County Board of Supervisors Proclamation, Social Work Appreciation Month, March 2024. Whereas social work is a profession truly dedicated to helping people, and whereas the primary mission of social work is to enhance human well-being and help meet the basic and complex needs of all people, and whereas social workers put a particular focus on helping people who are vulnerable, oppressed, or living in poverty, and whereas social workers follow a code of ethics that calls on them to fight social injustice, respecting the dignity and worth of all the people. And whereas social workers meet people where they are, helping people and communities reach their full potential. And whereas For more than a century, the social work profession has worked to improve the society, with social workers playing a role in establishing a minimum wage, Social Security, and Medicare, working to ensure equal rights for community members in all identities and genders, and whereas social workers work in all facets of our society, including schools, hospitals, community organizations, the military, mental health centers, social service agencies, corporations, and local, state, and federal government. And whereas social workers are on the front lines in helping this nation solve pressing social problems, including an increased demand for mental health services, an opioid addiction crisis, and economic inequality, and whereas social workers are in high demand and some states are reporting shortages in social work staffing. While the Bureau of Labor Statistics is predicting social work will be one of the fastest growing professions in our nation during this decade, and whereas a public opinion survey from Ipsos, at social work has a public approval rating of more than 80%, and more than half of Americans say social workers deserve higher pay. And whereas the 2024 Social Work Month theme, Empowering Social Workers, embodies the need for society to support social workers so they can continue to do the life-affirming work that they do and help address social needs. And whereas social workers in turn empower people, communities, and our nation, helping everyone achieve their full potential. Now therefore be it resolved in recognition of the numerous contributions made by America's social workers that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Shasta proclaim the month of March 2024 as Social Work Appreciation Month, and call upon all citizens to join the National Association of Social Workers and Shasta County in both celebration and support of the social work profession. With that, I'll make a motion to approve this.
And I'll second.
We have a first by Supervisor Garman, a second by Supervisor Kellstrom. We'll take public comment. Before we take that vote, we have Christian Gardner, R5. If there's anybody else that would like to speak to R5 specifically, please come over to the railing.
So I fully endorse Social Worker of the Month. I've been a social worker for over 20 years, a member of NASW for over 20 years. It's a lot of people don't understand how tough the job is. It's brutal. One of the things about NASW that I'm so proud of is their domains of social justice, voting rights, of criminal justice, of juvenile justice, environmental justice, and immigration justice and rights, as well as economic justice. These are at the macro level, and these are needed to lower ACE scores, to enrich families by empowering them to get full educations and get the treatment that they need, overcome addiction. Along with the NASW, the California Association of Licensed Therapists recognizes that lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, gender nonconforming, or queer individuals have the same rights as every single one of us here in this building. And in fact, the California Marriage and Family therapists oppose any use, along with NASW, by the way, any use of psychological interventions to change a person's sexual orientation, their gender, or their identity, including efforts to change behaviors or expression to alter their self-chosen and constitutional right of orientation and identity. This is imperative. This is absolutely imperative. We have too many people who work actively against these domains. Additionally, I'm really proud that the National Association of Social Workers issued on January 8th, 2021, a demand for the immediate removal of President Trump from office. The largest social work organization in the world is NASW, and they understood that what happened was and I'm going to quote from their document, an attempt to overthrow our government by white supremacists that failed.
R5.
The election has been certified. President Trump violated that. These ethics and morals and properties that make up social work are included, whether you like that or not, Mr. Cry, whether MAGA likes that or not, whether Trump likes that or not. Social work is a vital and important...
Thank you. Next speaker, come on up. You have 3 minutes. Your mic will be cut at 3 minutes, just as a reminder, ma'am.
Thank you
Go ahead.
very much for bringing this forward.
Well, this is a first for me. I really want to thank you a lot for your care for the children and for your focus on children, for the mental health. I adopted my grandson on October 25th of last year. He had PTSD before he was born. He has gone from working 2 years old, now we're working on getting him up to 8. I'm working with the wraparound team that works up there at the county. I have to tell you, these are wonderful people. I see people who, you know, I've seen kids come into CPS and they're seeing knees as adult people are around them. They're traumatized, they're afraid, and all they see is their knees because these people are having to discuss what's happening with them. And they're here. They're way down, and it hurts my heart to see that. I think that needs to be addressed. Personally, that's something that's bothered me for quite a while. But continuing to work with my grandson, we've managed to get him, get the serotonin, get all that stuff working because it was not present. He doesn't know how to regulate. Parts of his brain don't work properly due to the abuses when he was in the womb and the atmosphere around him outside of the womb. So to see him, I've been trained. I took a year of classes before I even brought him home.
I brought the cat out earlier. You didn't see it.
What do you do?
I can only go grab the little one. Hamish he's too spicy this morning.
It doesn't matter if he wants to cut your throat and he's kicking you and he's this tall. He's 2. And learning in our schools and getting it in our schools, his therapist has gone and spoken to the teacher at the schools. She has tried to educate them, the counseling system at the schools, to educate them on this little boy who is in the special day class, who's brilliant.
You can't force Hey to do anything.
Getting him from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And it's hard, and it's a 24-hour day job.
Effie, I could just snatch her up and make her do whatever I want.
Told I'm going to get my throat cut, and my response is I'm going to love you, and I'm keeping you for forever.
Thank you. Jenny?
Thank you, guys.
Real quick, Supervisor, or Chair.
I'm sorry. Supervisor Garment.
Ma'am, right here. I just want to say thank you. Thank you sincerely for, as your grandchild, but thank you for being willing to step up. I know that's not easy, but you are a wonderful human being to do so. And if you want to reach out to me after the meeting, I would love to connect, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
She came to coffee on Friday.
Send me an email.
Come have coffee with her. Let's go, Jenny.
Okay, thank you.
I want to step on you talking to her.
Oh, no. It's great.
Okay, so thank you for bringing this forward. My mother was a social worker for 25 years with this county, and I don't know how long she was a social worker in total because she worked in Siskiyou County before that and LA before that. She finished off a majority of her time as an adult protective services social worker. And all that I ask is that this is not just in word only. But I know that like adult protective services and child protective services have time that they spend driving around to visit sites. And I'm really hoping that perhaps in some of our new budgeting that money towards mileage, since it's already been set as a precedent with some of our other newer hires, that you can also compensate for mileage with some of our social workers who have to travel around for the county who have never been compensated for that. That would just be a nice thing to do if you're going to acknowledge what they do for the county, to also back that up with how we pay them.
Acknowledge their time.
All right, Miguel, you want to come up? Does anybody else like to speak to R5?
I want to invite Don Epperson, who is our social work supervisor for Adult Protective Services, and we're receiving the proclamation today. I believe he's got a couple words to say as well, if you don't mind.
Hey, Tim, can we take the vote real quick? Would you mind? Sure. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Passed unanimously. Thank you.
Board, thanks for having me up here. Miguel, thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. I just wanted to say a few words. My name is Don Epperson. I'm a social worker supervisor with Shasta County Adult Protective Services. I've been here for about 5 years. Before that, I spent some time in Child Protective Services. It's an honor to accept this on behalf of not just APS, but on behalf of all the social workers in Shasta County, those not specifically just being Shasta County employees as well. As Miguel said earlier, there's social workers in all walks of life. He identified parts in your career where you have done social work as well. So it's about those, it's not just with the social worker title. This goes to service aides, analysts, office assistants, clerical staff, intake workers, ongoing workers, family workers, public guardians, facilitators, eligibility workers, community health advocates, everyone that actually does social work. But you're out there, you're in the community, your boots are down, you're helping, the need is critical. It's not always a rewarding job, but I can say with certainty that anyone in this line of work cares about the community, the people, and providing the services and resources needed for change. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Don. Hey, Type. I'd like to give you the thing here and say thank you and congratulations. I know it's on behalf of everybody, but take it back proudly, display it, and we appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Rickert.
Yes, I just wanted to also express my appreciation. I know many of you, I was going to the mental health board meetings. My youngest brother is a psychologist. He's worked in clinics. He's been personally injured working with kids. Right before he retired, he oversaw all the psychologists in a huge school district in the Minneapolis area. And I've had lots of conversations with him. It's a very difficult job. My sister also worked as an early childhood interventionist with toddlers that were autistic, which I always told her she's going straight to heaven for sure. So I have family members that are very involved in that profession, and I admire you and I appreciate all that you've done. And your work, I always say you're doing God's work for sure. So God bless you.
Now we're all going to come down and take a picture where Chris Kellstrom is going to awkwardly stand in the back like Frankenstein's monster. Yay, good picture. Why is Kevin's chair the smallest out of everybody's? Did somebody do that to him on purpose? Or did he do that to himself? Because that's fucking funny.
Moving on to R6, presentations continued. We're going to have President Francis Berg and the county coordinator Ron Rustin come on up for our presentation from the Shasta County Fire Safe Council regarding their mission, activities, and accomplishments. This was sponsored by Supervisor Rickert.
Yes, and I just wanted to thank them for coming today. I appreciate Pam's here, Ron's here, and Francis and Ron's wife. I just want to say that when we got this Fire Safe Council,
I know, right? I got to get that from Dave.
Years ago, You guys have hit the ground running. And as I drive around District 3, I'm always amazed at all the projects that are going on out there and the pilot projects that we've brought into Shasta County. So I'll let you talk, but I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the hard work all of you have done.
Well, thank you very much, Supervisor Ricker, for those kind words, and I'm going to throw it right back at you. The Shasta County Fire Safe Council is a not-for-profit organization consisting of a board of volunteers, and we really got going back in 2020 pretty much because of the leadership of Mary Rickard, who's been a stalwart supporter of that. So thank you.
Mary.
Council is. I understand that we have a video that can be queued up. It is short, but it gives you everybody an idea of what the Fire Safe Council is and what we do. So I'll follow up that.
Oh, they did a little video. We get a little video.
There's another water tender on Powerhouse at 299. Proceed forward. Wow. Yeah.
All you guys are Shasta County residents and live up here in the North State. You guys have seen traumatic fires come through. And you guys have seen us try to get out ahead of them and stop them with no results whatsoever.
The Shasta County Fire Safe Council is a nonprofit organization that is your partner in building fire-resilient neighborhoods through education, fuel reduction, and emergency preparedness to reduce loss of life and property from wildfire.
You know, climate's changed before. I get this question a lot from folks. Isn't that natural? Yeah, it is. But it never happened before when accompanied by nearly a century of fire suppression saving up fuel.
That house is embedded in a neighborhood, that's embedded in a community, that's embedded in a landscape, and you have to treat that whole thing.
With an experienced team of staff and volunteers, the council fosters collaboration through clear communication
inquiry.
and coordinated
I remember that shit.
to
That was
increase
fucking
wildfire survivability.
Eliminating fire is not one of our choices. Our climate doesn't let us do that. This is California. We live in a fire-promoting climate in a fire-prone landscape.
Living with wildfires involves 3 goals: restore and maintain resilient landscapes, prepare communities so they can live with and withstand
that was what I saw in the very beginning of this. With the fucking the fire NATO. Obviously, those are only started with space laser. I think most of that footage is done by Mike Daly.
Is your partner in building fire-resilient neighborhoods. We're more than an organization. We're a united community working together to prepare, educate, and mitigate living with wildfire.
Thanks for airing that.
He could have just kicked it down to the bottom of the lake with the fucking sturgeon and been like, okay, I guess we're waiting here.
And we've been able to get some grants that I think are really helping our community. Some of them that I'll just mention briefly. One's Bullskin Ridge Fuel Break, which should benefit the communities, both Fern and Oak Run. We start off with a project, kind of pilot projects dealing with chipping, curbside chipping for communities. That is now expanded into a total program, and that'll be up and running in hopefully in just a few weeks. We were able to secure funding to get a county coordinator, who is Ron Rustin, who's with me here today. And our biggest one right now is a hazard mitigation grant program that is federal funding through FEMA, administered through Cal OES, that will protect up to 500 homes, we hope, in the Whitmore, subsequent to that Oak Run, and then Lakehead communities. We're also going after other grants to keep us going and try to protect our communities, including fire breaks for Happy Valley on the east side, Shasta Lake City to the north of them. We're going after block grants with both our federal and state partners to provide us the opportunity to work with our communities to determine what needs to be done to best protect them. We have a real interest in, some people call it ingress, egress. I call it egress, ingress, because we want to get people out in many cases and then get resources in a safe manner. And the county is a big player in that. With county roads, we want to provide the resources so that we can treat the vegetation alongside of those and other roads, again, to make it safer for people to get in and out. And since we did start in about 2020, although you probably remember COVID, it wasn't that long ago, so we were kind of a little slow off the get-go, but with those initial grants, we were able to get staff because you only can do so much with volunteers. And so we started, I think, in late 2022. We have Executive Director Pam Bates here, and she was our first employee. And then we've got Ron Rustin. We have two other people, a contractor, builder.
Florida Man and Shasta Man are almost interchangeable.
As well as an administrative assistant. So we now have capabilities to really get things, but we're building on those initial successes, and we hope to do more and more for our community and communities. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ron Rustin, our county coordinator.
Thank you. Since being brought on as the county coordinator for the Shasta Fire Safe Council, my biggest focus through that grant is for the Firewise communities. And if you're not familiar with Firewise communities, they are anywhere from 8 to 2,500 homes. It's just community people, residents getting together and just forming a Firewise community. It's a national program through NFPA. Anybody can do it. And as we watch that video, we can see the importance of being educated about how to have that defensible space around your home. Right now in Shasta County, we have 12 Firewise communities. We have that are in good standing. We have 8 that are in process, so a total hopefully here soon of 20, which is good, but we have a big county, so part of what I'd like to do is encourage more and more growth of the Firewise communities throughout our county. And the reason it's important to me, one of the reasons is I retired out of the fire service. I was a wildland firefighter for a lot of years, and when I started back in the 70s, which kind of dates myself a little bit, but when I started back in the 70s, it was very rare that you would have a structure threat within a wildland fire. Now it's very rare if there's not a structure threat in a wildland fire. So educating people, and then as Mr. Berg was saying, getting those grants to help with defensible space, ingress, egress, and all of those other things is really important. We're doing field trips is what we call them. I can quit if you want me to. A couple more things. We're doing field trips with the Firewise groups, which we're bringing subject matter experts, foresters, CAL FIRE battalion chiefs, whoever, to help the communities identify some of those fuel hazards out there that we can start building a plan to mitigate those hazards, mitigate those fuels out there. The last thing is we've organized, or we're in the process of organizing a fuels mitigation group throughout the county. We brought in a ton of our partners on the federal.
No, some of the fucking things that are going around right now are worse than COVID.
Like McConnell, Redding Rancheria.
This fucking cough that I've had for like.
To be kind of the hub of that information, so as we see where everybody's doing fuels mitigation.
And I keep testing, and I'm fucking negative. It's just fucking obnoxious fucking.
Subject to their own boundaries. As a Fire Safe Council, we can identify those areas where we can kind of fill.
But COVID most certainly is not over.
That helps us, kind of puts us.
It's never going to be over. It's going to be COVID all the time.
Be that hub, be that information center, and hopefully get out there and help the community by filling those gaps and doing those.
Well, the other side of that, I read somewhere that we eliminated one of the B strains of the flu because everybody, for the most part, everybody fucking wore masks fucking long enough.
There's no vote, but is there anybody that would
during an important time whenever the most cases of the flu came up?
I'm sorry, Supervisor.
That we managed to eliminate one B strain
I just
of
have
the
a
flu?
question for either one of the gentlemen who spoke here, and that is in regards to homeowners insurance. If somebody is taking part in this and they've cleaned up their property, have you guys heard of anybody getting a break with their homeowners insurance? I know it's a fight right now all the way through, but any little thing we can do to help, does this help?
This is
the silver lining of that is that now
for our residents, I would say, California,
right, bourgeois.
Legislation, as
the way that they determine which flu vaccine they're going to issue is dependent on
first of all,
cases of these two different A strains and two different B strains of influenza. And since we have basically eliminated one of the B strains, it makes us more effective at identifying one of the A strains or the B strain, making the flu vaccine more effective because it's less of a guessing game of like, okay, well, we're gonna track this pattern, and it seems like this one is most common, and then it ends up not being, and then the flu vaccine isn't very effective. But the more strains of that we eliminate, the easier it is to determine which flu vaccine to use to cover the most people.
That their investments will, their costs will hopefully translate into affordable insurance in the future. But it's a long road. And
absolutely.
Unless you folks have anything else on that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Supervisor, sorry.
Real quick, you're okay. You can sit down. Just a question for.
Yeah, that was in Florida, right? They have 6 cases of the measles in Florida.
They brought this up this year. Anything about the insurance commissioner getting involved?
Every meeting and every almost email.
Florida and Scientology boats, man. They are harbingers of disease.
Yeah,
and it's not getting better.
No, we keep hearing it. Supervisor Ricker mentioned earlier, we need to do more as a board, and we need to do more as a board.
Really?
We're a small voice, but we need to make that voice loud.
Shit.
And so whatever you can do at RCRC or CSAC, we'll
absolutely
appreciate it. Thank you.
Supervisor Ricker.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming today. I know it was you're all busy, very busy people, and you've got a lot on your plate, so I appreciate it. But I just want the public to know that the Fire Safe Council is a very vibrant and very effective group. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact them. They'll get you connected if you have a FireWise Council question. That's an important group. I talked yesterday to a lady from Shingletown for an hour about her FireWise Council. So the more we can get the word out, we're talking about doing a webinar, but the more we can get the word out to kind of help protect property and life, that's what matters to me and it matters to all of us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Come on up, Lori.
Let's go with life first and then property.
Okay, public comment on R6. Thank you to both of these presenters. My only question is, when will you be addressing geoengineering as a part of all of this? Yes, it's good to have the fire fuels.
Lori with the chemtrails, top of the line,
and do everything you possibly can, which can cost thousands and thousands of dollars, as we know. But if you are aware of DEW's, direct energy weaponry, geoengineering, I saw today driving into town, the trails, they're called chemtrails. Dane Wigington has been doing this for years, 2014.
Top of the line potato.
I've been photographing for years and years and years. So I would like to know, when we have fire safe people and fire council people and everybody else, when will we hear you mention and state
it comes back to the
geoengineering or climate engineering? He has a program every week, Global Alert News, and there's a video called How Wildfires Serve an Agenda. Thank you.
Which are also on KCNR. Maybe someday we'll listen to a Dane Wigington radio show. Maybe.
My name is Wendy, and I was nearby and actually watching the meeting online and wanted to come speak on this topic just to say thank you so much. Mary, I know how involved you've been. That's near and dear to my heart. I have family that lives up in Whitmore, and they're in a place where a fire starts burning up around them, and they're too far away for me to get up there. So, again, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to everybody working on the Fire Safe Council. You mean a lot to me.
Thank you.
I just want to say that
Thank you, Wendy.
District 3 has so many communities, and early on as a supervisor, I used to drive the back roads all the time, and that's all I could think of was the fire danger. And so here we are. We're making some progress, but we have so much more to do. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. At this time, and I had mentioned earlier, about.
I know Wendy. She's fucking wonderful.
Break at approximately 11:45. I will say, if you want to speak to closed session, please look at that now and get your cards in. We will move to public comment, and then we will go to closed session public comment here very shortly. Public comment period, open time. During the public comment open period time, the public may address the board on any matter.
So we're going to do a little bit of open comment. Okay.
The subject matter jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. Each speaker is allocated 3 minutes to speak. As is
here we go.
Prior, the mic will be cut at 3 minutes to ensure the timeliness. Thank you for your presentation. First up, oh man, this is it. Last name, Joel. We'll say Joel K. Will be first. Next will be Nick Gardner. Third will be Ken Mashad. And fourth will be Stephen Kahn. If you could start lining up, that'd be great, just so we can get through as many as we can before we move to closed session public comment. Time is yours, Joel. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a horse to ovaries.
My name is Joel Kwiatkowski. I've lived in Reading for 20 years. I'm a volunteer as District 1 captain with the Convention of States Action. The role of captain is to help inform people of the Convention of States and recruit volunteers to help expand the organization and its influence. The organization is founded and based on Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution by constitutional
Nick Gardner got a fucking arm goiter. Ew.
By grassroots volunteers.
He's got 2 elbows.
Our republic and desire to preserve and protect our freedoms. Article 5 provides the states the lawful ability to propose amendments with the specific purpose to limit the federal government's power and jurisdiction, requiring fiscal responsibility and implementing congressional term limits to restore power to we the people at the state level and eliminate potential corruption of career politicians. The convention requires approval by state legislation of 2/3 or 34 states that agree to the purpose of the amendments, and 3/4 or 38 states' approval is required to ratify those amendments. Article 5 is not based on political party affiliation or status, but solely based on the aspects of self-governance embedded in the Constitution and Bill of Rights with the freedom and liberty of a constitutional republic. I'm here today to ask the board to review the Convention of States action from the handouts that I've provided and consider a board supervisors group approval of the petition. If there are questions or concerns, I propose we have a discussion session added to a future meeting where myself and others may attend and address those questions or concerns that you have. The Convention of States organizations feels this type of Board of Supervisors approval would help provide influence to our state legislators to propose the review and approval of the resolution at the state level and Sacramento, and ultimately add California to the list of approving states. Currently, the Convention of States has 20 states on board with full approval of the Convention of States resolution, and we have several more well underway over the next year. In Shasta County, we have 4,700 petitions signed, with over 1,000 veterans signing those petitions, which is about 2.6% of the population of the county. So, the COS action is obviously of significant importance of the voting citizens of Shasta County. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. I look forward to receiving your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Nick Gardner, followed by Ken Mashad, then Steve.
Each veteran is worth 1.33 freedom unit.
Before you stop me, this is in the preview of the county. I've got a question for Mary Rickert. On KQMS, I think it was last Thursday, Jeff Godert got on there, and I'm going to do some quotes here, and I want Mary to explain to me how this is so. 30-year agreement that Cry organized and negotiated that was opposed by the DA, the sheriff, and the fire chief. Here's the second quote. And Cry, without even consulting the DA, the sheriff, and the fire chief, entered into a 30-year agreement that has been determined or at least analyzed to leave hundreds of millions of dollars of unreimbursed expenses to the county on the table.
Yep.
Mary, can you explain that to me?
Nope, but there's a fucking whole legal fucking team that would be happy to.
They're filling out cards in at meetings. Could you explain that, how that's going to cost us hundreds of millions of dollars?
This
is your time, and I did not.
Well, yeah, I'm taking my time to ask you a question, and I'd like.
But this is your time, Nick.
This is your time, so she's.
Well, if you can't believe everything a person says, what can you believe? I'd like to know how Brad came up with $3.4 million from Mike Lindell. That's a bunch of crap. And then you've got Charlie Can't Count Manure. He seems to think $60,000 from $266,000.
What's going on, Hack?
Minus millions of dollars when it's plus $200,000. So that's about all I got. I'm sorry that you're not a big enough person to stand up and answer my question.
Up next.
Thank you.
Would be Ken Mashad, followed.
This is why more people listen to my show than yours, Nick.
Followed by Laura Hobbs.
Good morning, board. My name is Ken Mashad. I live in Cottonwood. I hope to put up a few things here on the presentation on the screen, but that's okay. I think most people are familiar with the Mesa pattern of fraud.
Oh no, it's a Mesa pattern of fraud, dude.
In Shasta County is the Mesa pattern of fraud. On the graph, if the blue line, the ratio of votes cast between two candidates falls outside the red cone, then it is, as stated in the text below the graph, an outlier and indicates that the results do not fit the kind of random distribution expected and indicate either the possibility of injection of falsified votes or altered votes, end quote. And since on the graphs, the blue line is outside the red cone, that's presented as proof of vote manipulation in Shasta County.
I think the Board of Supervisors chamber should be haunted by a poltergeist.
Which says,
Hack, I think it would add, interest and intrigue to the
ballots were received and processed.
Some of the pomp and circumstance.
So I took a look at the cast vote record. I had a copy of it. You could look at it yourself. It's on the election website. Anyone can download it. And if you look at it, you see in the column for precincts that the ballots were not tabulated in a random manner. When you start,
Mesa.
All the ballots.
Mesa is what brings us together today.
The ballots are counted by precincts, usually in batches.
True fraud.
That's not random. Different precincts have different mixes of voters. Some precincts are more liberal than average, and other precincts.
Right, we got to get Kathy in there knitting.
So the requirements of a random distribution underlying the red cone of the Mesa pattern of fraud isn't close to being met. The graph is in error, and thus it's not evidence of vote manipulation in Shasta County. It's very straightforward. Anyone who has a basic understanding of probability and random distribution would instantly recognize that right away. While I was looking at the cast vote record for the 2022 general election, I also noticed that 22 votes were redacted from the record by the election office in an attempt to maintain the privacy of voters in small precincts. From what I can tell, this is the first time it was attempted in Shasta County. My question is, why now and why wasn't it done before? But without being more specific, it doesn't work very well. As an alternative solution.
Right, and does that take into consideration kids that turn 18 that register to vote when they're 17, and then but they want to be able to vote in the next election, so they register to vote and then they're able to vote when they're 18?
Is eliminated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I park my car at the fraud office because, if I don't park it over there, then I'll get exuberant fees from the county for my parking job. Hi, Steve.
Good morning, board, community members. A bunch of them out there today. That's great. Cry. You've not only rearranged the speaker request form submissions to be to your advantage, no longer going by the long-adopted policy of taking them as they were received, but now it appears you're putting more and more items in front of the public comment period time, causing public comment period time to be much later in the meeting. This is eliminating a lot of people at work from being able to speak. It used to be that, and also prior, you've eliminated people from being able to speak during public comment time period on agenda items. Before, if somebody's time was very limited, perhaps they had a job they had to go back to, they could speak to those items and then return to work. Now, you're even shoving the time period, we're almost at noon, even to be able to speak publicly. This is reducing more and more the number of people that can speak publicly. It's not in the flavor of an open and a society that is willing to listen to everybody. You're reducing the number of people that can speak.
Well, Kevin doesn't want to hear what they have to say.
Nothing like our county has been run in the past anyway. So
I really wish somebody would bring up how Modi did that, though, and they had a full-on fucking meltdown over it.
When you ran for office, you advocated transparency and more openness. Yet the policies are in direct opposition to that. You're trying to silence those that oppose you. In fact, it appears that so many people oppose you that now you're trying to limit the ability of the public to speak altogether. There's no end of your authority.
Oh, it won't get better for him if he doesn't get recalled. He hopes he gets recalled because, oh my God.
The will of the people, which requires hearing from the people, cry, you must be replaced. And this affects you all, not just the people he disagrees with, but your ability to speak also is being put much later in the day. You know, the other thing during public comment I wanted to bring up was you guys voted for the ability to carry concealed weapons in county buildings. But I don't think you thought it through, because what that's done is it's allowed people, number one is security may notice somebody's carrying a weapon. They can't ask whether they have a concealed weapon or not. They may be legitimate, they may not, but they may have a weapon. So that limits them from, prohibiting that situation other than just watching them. Then the employees can't carry a weapon, so they can't defend themselves. So again, I wouldn't want to be somebody in the tax collector's office dealing with somebody that's going to lose their house.
Thank you. Supervisor Jones.
Fair enough.
So just a comment, and this goes directly to what Steve's saying here, but Steve just doesn't understand that prior to January 1st, going back, as far as you want to go back, that members of the public properly permitted and elected officials properly permitted could carry on all county properties. That only changed this January 1st with SB2. Steve can't understand that. I'm not sure why. He doesn't understand that. What we did with our resolution was restore what we had that we lost on January 1st. That's all we did.
The sheriff supported.
Buy my guns.
Laura Hobbs, and then David Halligan. That will probably be our last one before we do open or public comment for closed session.
Okay, good morning, supervisors. Dr. Laura Hobbs, candidate for Supervisor District 2. I'm urging you to please use all your...
Oh, I thought he was going to go back there with a
California
sign
Government Code 25201
and let her cook.
to pass
Christian, you don't understand the power you have in that room.
Shall hand count elections at the precinct using paper poll books. This law states that the Board of Supervisors may canvass all election returns pursuant...
Why is he walking away giggling? Oh, I want to know.
And just to define for you the
Why is he
definition
walking
of
away
canvass, it basically means to count. By the legal definition, 335.5, the official canvass is the public process of processing and tallying ballots received in an election, including but not limited to provisional ballots, vote by mail ballots, and not including the semi-official.
She's been spitting this stuff for like 6 months. She doesn't have it fucking memorized by now. That doesn't bode well for how she performed as a supervisor.
Took bold action and elevating a proposal up to you guys, which I'd like you to seriously consider. A couple of the items that they mentioned.
Right, Nathan, we don't even understand law if it's not prohibit law.
Code 19003 that states any city or county ordinance shall govern voting systems unless otherwise a provision of the law is deemed consistent within this division. Therefore, I know it's confusing, but what this states is that county laws and ordinances supersede any state laws in regards to voting systems. It is incumbent on the county to dictate the manner in which elections are conducted. They also mention that according to Elections Code 19207, which grants authority to the county governing board to adopt any kind of voting system in combination of voting systems, AB 969 usurps the county's authority under 19207.
And the ironic thing, Nathan, is that they want to say that they just don't understand.
California Elections Code 19001.
Stephen just doesn't want to understand about the fucking gun thing. Well, they just don't want to understand about voting machines.
Or failure to comply with all the provisions of the law. If the real will of the electors in Shasta County is determined by hand counting, then enforcing AB 969 would be in direct violation of California Elections Code 19.
Lurch is a compliment.
And I just want to bring this to the attention of the public. This is a different topic, changing topics here. This is the license plate of Mary Rickard, our supervisor here. I don't know why she chose the number 666 to.
Ellen,
she paid extra for the. Oh, this is my time. This is my time. No, she paid extra for this.
Hey, I don't think that's appropriate to show that.
And I want to explain something to you. No, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna explain something to you. That is a specialized license plate for agriculture. Let me. You want to know?
People in the audience.
You want to know the truth?
Please.
I don't know. That came from the California Department of Motor Vehicles. I did not choose that. They sent that to me. You are being bizarre.
Yeah.
That is bizarre. I did not ask for that number. I did not. Call the Department of Motor Vehicles. You just embarrassed yourself. That's terrible.
That's
Please stop yelling from the floor. Supervisor Garman.
That's your girl, Kevin. That's your girl.
Hey, listen, Supervisor Garman has the floor. Please be respectful and let Supervisor Garman speak. Supervisor Rickert will speak after that.
Thank you, Chairman Cry. That was disgusting. There's no need to bring that up.
That was disgusting.
And just so we understand, Supervisor Rickert, you were trying to explain it. Let me try to explain it as well. You paid for an agricultural license plate. The numbers came like that.
They came like that.
Fill out those numbers. And Laura, you should be fully embarrassed of yourself. Thank you.
Supervisor Rickert.
I am going to say it one more time very clearly. That was the license plate that they sent to me. I did not request those
And
numbers.
the devil isn't real, so who gives a fuck about 666, you
And God
fucking
knows
weirdo.
for a fact
Jesus
I did not
fucking
request
Christ.
those numbers. You can ask my husband. You can ask.
That's why his middle name is fucking.
Hey, please, hey, listen.
Listen, I don't care. It doesn't
Supervisor
mean
Rickert.
anything to me. It's the numbers I was given.
Supervisor Rickert, give me one.
How many people turn in their license plates because they don't like the number? I don't care what's on there. It's just my license plate number, and I've had it for 6 or 7 years, and it's an invasion of my privacy that people are going around sharing my license plate number, and I really resent that. And Ms. Hobbs, you should be embarrassed. You should be totally embarrassed.
It's trafficking.
Sir, this is our last speaker for public comment before we move to closed session public comment, which will we be discussing our, actually, David, go ahead. I'm sorry, Supervisor Jones.
Well, I will be recusing myself from R11, so when we get to that, I just want to make that clear.
Okay. 3 minutes, go ahead.
Good morning. This is a year in review. It's called Kevin's Way.
Yay! I love slam poetry.
And now the end is near, and so we face your final meeting. Kevin, I'll state it clear. I'll state the recall of which I'm certain. You created a year of division by doing your way and more much more with deniers. You followed their way. Regrets, you say a few, but then again, let us mention, you said what you were going to do, and then you failed without exception. You planned each chartered misstep. You found Chris Street along the byway. And more, you eliminated voting machines and did it your way. Yes, there were times we all knew that you bit off more than you could chew, but through it all, there was so much doubt. County employees, you sent them out. You took the ball and stood small and did it your way. You've defied, you've lied and denied. With this recall, you'll have your share of losing. And now, with Dr. Moo and Mr. Lamour, these hires are so disturbing. To think you did all that, and may we say, not in a shy way. Now gun carry in county buildings, you misfired your way. For what has Kevin got? He voted for Patrick's gun lot. To say the lies he truly feels, no impact fees we will repeal. Let the record show he got no pillow dough and screwed it up his way. Let Kevin's record show he took Anselmo's dough and sold out his way. Thank you very much.
Yay! That was awesome. Oh my God. Oh my God. There was a lot of verses. It doesn't matter.
Public comment. And we're going to be going into public comment for closed session R10, R11, and R12. Supervisor Jones.
And for the record, I will be recusing myself on R11.
R11. All right. Public comment R10. Come on up. Oh, I'm sorry, not R10. R10, 11. Yes.
Christian looked like he was going to go yell something.
Regarding a lot of things in here I see, and the one that is interesting me is the one for Anderson Millville residents in Shasta County. So that is your doing. All four of you, unfortunately, Tim Garman, you had to vote on it, and I just wish that you didn't do that. But anyways, you guys need to understand you are costing our county a lot of money, even though you're saying you're not. By this lawsuit that they file against you, you're all going down. I told you guys, you're going to go down. You don't listen, you laugh, you think it's funny, you know, and then remember that time when Kevin Craig got up, just went like this, I just finished making a contract with the schools. I've done it so many times. Yeah, you bragged about making contracts. Look at what this contract got you. Now you're getting sued. How come you're not bragging about that one? You know, that's pretty pathetic. You putting our county in a situation now that we're going to be screwed because of you. We're going down with you. This is the people this is you. Kevin Craig, you put him as chair. I told you, Chris, it would be a bad mistake for him to be chair. You told me he was going to be chair months ago before he was going to be appointed.
Nathan fucking predicted it like a year before.
Now you guys are going to pay the price, and it pisses me off because all the people out there are the ones who are going to pay the consequences. You guys are going to be charged.
He did.
Going to pay whatever. But the people,
there's a meme.
Because you know why?
Let me go look. He's got a.
It's going to come along and it's going to replace all of you. That's what you said you didn't want, but yet you freaking think you were so proud of making this contract, Kevin Craig. What come you're not bragging about
December
it now?
12th, 2023.
How come you're not saying, oh, look at all the contracts I made. You're a joke. You're a joke. You cost us a lot. And the reason I get up here and I tell you shit, because I'm sick of it, because people like you who cause the county problems. You wanted to get rid of Modi, yet you put another loser up here. Another person who actually is causing more problems. You're a loser. I don't understand, Chris, why you're going.
She hates Kevin more than Patrick. She dated Patrick.
I feel sorry for you, but you know what? You decided to go along, and Patrick Jones, I think it's so pathetic that you allowed yourself to be following. You're the sheep. You two are sheep.
We're talking about closed session.
Yeah, it is closed session. It pisses me off that you went and made a contract. Now the county is going to be accountable for your actions. That's what pisses me off.
Thanks, Dolores. We love you. Bye.
All right.
Chair Cry.
Supervisor, I'm sorry.
I will be recusing myself on the first case. If you take a look at R11, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cases there. I'll be recusing myself on the Anderson Millville residents versus the County of Shasta. The others I will take part in. And once again, Ms. Lucero, I don't think you understand the word indemnify. So I'm indemnifying the county. I will pay all attorney fees with regards to the county.
Don't even.
So I know you guys don't understand that. Quiet from the floor, please.
All right. So I have cards here. Pam Hughes, followed by Stephen. Yeah, Stephanie, did you still want to be, or is that just about what Supervisor Jones?
I don't need it. I just cleared myself.
Thank you for this opportunity. R11 refers to the suit against the county and Supervisor Jones. And there is an item on the consent agenda, C11, which I think is going to make that suit even stronger against the county. And C11 adopts a resolution which designates authority to temporarily close various county roads in the Millville area for use by public entities and nonprofit groups for periodic special events. Now that sounds like it's a gift to Patrick Jones' proposal for his gun range. Thank you for this opportunity.
Stephen?
Just want to say about, because there's been all this talk about the impact fees and Jones won't have to pay it anymore, or however it works out. I don't know what business owner wants to pay more fees or more taxes. A lot of times when there's somebody running a business and they run for office, their goal is usually to
But then how do you pay for anything if your county doesn't make any money?
sit there and say, you know what, I think I should pay more taxes on fees, on feed, or I think I should pay a higher impact tax on a new barn I need to build. I don't think the chair is going to say, hey, you know what, I need some new equipment for my business, so I hope I can find some way to pay more for it. I think the bigger question, and I don't know what Tim and Chris do, so that's why I didn't include you. I think the bigger question is, okay, maybe these fees are getting removed, but is anything replacing it, or is there a way for that money to be made up in a different way? I've been following all this. I just read it a couple weeks ago, and but it makes you think of taxes. You got 50 states, and those states have different taxes for different reasons. You know, one state has a property tax because that's what they chose. I don't particularly care if the impact fees got removed. I think there's too many fees on government in the first place. And as for the prior speaker talking about roads being closed, governments do quote unquote favors for private citizens all the times, or corporations, or hey, you know what, I'll build this building, but you've got to pay for the road. At the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that
This guy has absolutely nothing. He's a waste of fucking air.
don't know how much.
Dude, you're new. You need to go sit down.
A long time. I don't know what type of revenue that kind of.
You've said I don't know way too many times to go up there and talk about anything.
Provide one service per se. It's going to be all the people that drive out to that facility. That's gas money. That's gas taxes. There's going to be people who buy the ammunition. And unfortunately, they might have to buy it out of state because of the way California is, but
it sure does not override his.
The end of the universe is a little bit much. I'm sure the board will find a way, or let's hope the board will find a way to make up for it. If there really is that much of a loss, I heard somebody mention the numbers that's going to be lost, but pressure the board then to find a different way to come up with money. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you have to put that impact fee back in. So thank you.
Supervisor Kellstrom.
Yeah, just for the record,
It is.
if
See,
you'd read the
verified
packet,
Napster.
the Millville Elementary School wants to close a road one time for a little cross-country run. It's nothing more than that.
They don't clap for that. They don't clap for honesty. All right, with that, I see no other public comment. Oh, wait. One more. Go ahead. Charlie can't read the thing. It's, yeah.
Just an FYI, Supervisor Cry, Shasta County Office of Education has some of the best child development.
I don't see childhood SCOE on the closed session, so we'll stick to closed session.
Okay, I was just going to give you an attaboy, but I'll hold. Supervisor Cry, we all remember your smugness when you brought to the Board of Supervisors last summer your personally negotiated contract with Redding Rancheria.
Supervisor Garman brought it forward, and it's not on the agenda. It's not on closed.
It's R12.
This is closed session.
Right. This is R12.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Give him some time back.
So just out of curiosity, as you're reading R12, there's nothing in there mentioned about the Rancheria.
It says anticipated litigation. I'm just making an assumption.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. So, over county services that would be provided to the proposed new casino. Despite the protests of our sheriff, county fire chief, our district attorney, your risk manager, and without the endorsement of your county council.
You know, I have to stop you because I don't even know, as closed session, what these items are. So if you're speaking to this and you know, I would like to know if you do know.
I don't know. There's been a press release on a proposed litigation.
There was a civil complaint, so I'm going to ask you to stick to generalities because that's a civil complaint. And I'm more disturbed wondering if you know something that's on closed session before this sitting board.
I read what everybody in the building knows.
I'm sure.
Everybody in the building saw the same stuff that you're talking about.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Okay. I thought I was allowed to speak.
You are.
Okay, without interruption.
Go ahead. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
I'll give you an extra minute back.
Okay. So through the protest of the sheriff, the county fire chief, your district attorney, our district attorney, your risk manager, and without the endorsement of your county council, you pushed what may prove to be one of the costliest contracts ever negotiated by Shasta County government. What has finally come to light that you're aware of, you've seen it, we've all seen it, is that your agreement is that it grossly undervalued the actual cost of these services over the 30-year life of the contract.
Lady B, your cat heard Mary Rickert yelling from there.
Resulting in an estimated cost to local taxpayers that may exceed $100 million. As was expressed at the time, your unilateral decision not only undermined the principles of open government, but also posed a significant financial burden on our local taxpayers. Mr. Cry, what you have not learned is how imperative it is that such agreements are thoroughly vetted and accurately reflect the true costs involved. You did not do this. Ignoring the valuable insights and expertise of the key officials who are directly responsible, thanks for listening, who are directly responsible for public safety compromises the overall well-being of our county. Your need to grandstand, as you're doing now, and take credit for issues way beyond your expertise and experience level, like shooting a gun without aiming it, is driving off county leadership, bringing in underqualified replacements, and literally costing taxpayers hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. From your botched voting machine deal to suspending developer fees.
Don't see that on the agenda for closed session, anything about voting.
It's my closing.
All right, thank you. No, you already had the extra time. Arthur Caller, closed session.
You can keep making more enemies, Kevin. Just go ahead.
Welcome.
Well, I was going to speak this is open session, but problem at B, our public defender is claiming U.S. government has unlimited jurisdiction over everything. The reigning King of Kings, Lord of Lords, who rules over the United States of America, is the only absolute.
You going to stop him, Kevin?
Closed session I'm speaking to just so I can.
Well, I wasn't too sure on there. It seemed like it was about legislation and our sheriffs.
This is R10, Conference with Labor Negotiators, R11, Legal Counsel, and you'll see the items listed there.
Well, this is legal counsel. This is our public defender.
Okay.
So the public defender is claiming U.S. government has unlimited jurisdiction over everything.
Yes, we have a new soft set.
Serious danger to our entire community. The government does not have unlimited jurisdiction. The Constitution limits our power. The reigning King of Kings, Lord of Lords, who rules over the United States of America is the only absolute. His glorious name is Jesus Christ, who is the only God-man. To know where we are going, we must know where we came from. God gave us our dual form of government, which relation.
Kevin's being detained.
I'm having a hard time to see. I'm having a hard time seeing which one you're speaking to. I'm trying to let you speak, but is it? Is it?
Well, we didn't have much time for the open time.
So
We'll come back.
Well,
yeah, we'll come back if you're in queue. If you're in queue, if you have a card in, we'll be back to open time after.
Okay.
Closed session. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to R10, 11, or 12? With that, we are going to adjourn. Closed session is supposed to take approximately 3.5 hours.
So that's going to piss a lot of people off, and it's probably really going to limit like all of the. I mean, our regular cookers will definitely come back, but the ones that would have showed up and stayed and hung out probably won't, and it sucks because this is turned out this is a really good one so far. I am impressed with me. One of the Mike Mangus is over there talking to me. Okay, hold on. Oh, damn it. All right, never mind. So yeah, that was interesting. I'm glad that Mary, that was a great part. That'll certainly get clipped out. No doubt, and be posted on everything. I think that at this point we're gonna go ahead and call it a stream, but keep your eyes out because Dave is gonna be coming on later. So 3.5 hours from us, 3:30. We'll probably go live again around 3, and we'll watch something. We'll figure out something to watch. No problem. There's endless fucking content. And then we will finish the meeting and then jump into down ballot. And then after that, it'll probably be a short night. There probably won't be public comment like later tonight, just because Dave will be fucking exhausted. And, I would have the stamina to go and do more public comment, but he wouldn't. And we need Dave like sharp brained, especially for Wednesday, because that show is fucking taxing. So we're going to go ahead and raid. Who are we going to raid? I don't know. Is there any reason why I shouldn't raid the serfs? I'm just going to go ahead and raid the serfs. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out. This is Supes Live and Unpausable. We will be back around 3 o'clock, I think. I will confirm with Dave, but and there will be, he'll set everything up, and we'll be live from his end, and I will just be a window instead of the whole media went set up. But that's fine. Meanwhile, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and raid the serfs, and we will see you in just a few hours with a continuation of public comment from Shasta County. So I'll see you in a bit.
Captured in the living was easy. Captured by you. Enraptured, but the loving was fleeting. Encaptured somebody new. Out of the our love drawn deep. Captured by you. Enraptured, but the loving was fleeting. And capture somebody new. Out of